The fallout came fast, like shock waves after an explosion. Class 0 was suddenly everywhere. Every screen on campus looped the duels nonstop. The footage spread through the academy like a virus. Evelyn's cyclone tearing the arena apart, Vin dropping opponents with surgical precision, Silas cutting across the sky like a gold streak. Nobody even tried to narrate it properly. There wasn't a clean way to explain what they were watching. People just stared, wide-eyed, like their brains hadn't caught up yet. Some students tried to downplay it. Probably temporary buffs, one girl said with a shrug, arms crossed like she didn't care. Her friend shook her head, voice low. No, I was there. That wasn't a boost. That was skill. In lounges and dorm common rooms, upperclassmen replayed everything frame by frame. They paused mid-strike, rewound micro-movements, argued about angles and timing. Plans were forming. Counterplans, too. Everyone was doing the same coal math. If they're doing this as first years, what happens in a month? They can't all be monsters, a boy from Sector 8 said, squinting at Lucian's name on the bracket. Lucian didn't even fight. Exactly, someone else muttered. He didn't need to. By evening, curiosity had curdled into obsession. Other classes dug up every scrap of footage from the last week, looking for patterns, weak spots, habits, anything they could exploit. Athena's name got dragged into it, too. They're her unit, right? Someone said. What the hell did she put them through? Nobody had an answer. Nobody even agreed on what they'd just witnessed. Behind the West Wing courtyard, past the combat sim blocks, Class 0 looked like none of that noise mattered. They were scattered across the benches, half sprawled, half staring at the sky like this was just another afternoon. Silas lay flat on his back, arms folded under his head, one leg crossed over the other. His coat was tossed aside, white undershirt clinging to his chest. Whatever glow usually sat under his skin had dimmed, but the way he breathed still felt off. Too steady, too deliberate. Rhea stood near a pillar. She wasn't looking at the clouds. She was looking at him, not his face, his chest, tracking the rhythm. Slow, controlled, not resting. Her eyes narrowed. A faint golden shimmer pulsed under his skin with every inhale. The sun was already dipping toward the horizon, spilling orange over the courtyard, and yet Silas was still charging up. Not draining, charging. Rhea focused harder. Every breath he took fed something deeper than mana. It was like his body was drinking sunlight straight from the air, even as the daylight thinned. She didn't say a word, didn't move, but something in her clicked into place. This wasn't just strength. Silas was shifting into something else, and he didn't even know it yet. Silas rolled his head toward her. You good, Ray? She blinked once. Yeah. You sure? You've been staring at me like I stole your snacks. You didn't. No, but now I'm thinking about it. She scoffed, eyes rolling, but her mind didn't loosen. Evelyn walked up next, rubbing her shoulder as she dropped onto the bench. Anyone else feel weird? Then glanced over. No. Evelyn ignored her and sat beside Silas. Not bad weird, just charged. Silas grinned. Like your body turned into a battery. Yeah. Huh. That's new. Lucian arrived last, silent like always. He didn't sit. He leaned against the wall near Rhea instead. She didn't look at him, but she felt his gaze flicker away once. The courtyard settled into a quiet pocket of air. Then Evelyn broke it. So what now? Lucian shrugged. Rest. Next round's in 2 days. Silas yawned. They're going to throw real hitters at us next. They should, Rhea said softly. Weak ones won't teach us anything. Ben stood. I'm going to recalibrate. Again, Evelyn asked. We just fought. Exactly. Nobody argued. Vin slipped away, vanishing toward the lower courtyard with a faint flicker of displacement. She never took normal paths. Like she didn't like being visible longer than she had to. Rhea pushed off the wall and headed toward the training yard. Lucian followed, not saying a thing. Silas lifted a brow. Are they? Evelyn shot him a look. Don't start. I didn't say anything. Near the sim yard, Rhea activated a dummy arena. Not to fight, to think. The world pixelated into a pale grid around her, lines of light stretching across the ground under the last drain of sunlight. Lucian stayed at the edge of it. You noticed, he said. Rhea nodded once. He's absorbing sunlight. Actively. You knew. Not fully, but it's been building. Holograms blinked in and out around Rhea. Enemy patterns, target dummies, training data. None of it felt important right now. He doesn't realize. Lucian looked away. Let him find it himself. Rhea didn't argue. She shut the sim down. The grid dissolved. She stepped back beside him. "You're not worried they'll catch up?" she asked quietly. Lucian's head tilted just a fraction. "They're not meant to." Rhea didn't smile, but she didn't disagree either. Back in the dorm halls, the bracket screens were already updating. Class Zero's next opponent hadn't been locked in, but two names floated at the top of the likelihood list: the veteran team from Sector 12 or the hybrid squad backed by a private hunter guild. Neither looked friendly. Evelyn and Silas wandered inside first. A cluster of students near the lounge went dead silent as Class Zero passed. That part was starting to feel normal. Evelyn leaned in toward Silas. "You think they're scared of us now?" Silas scratched his chin. "Not scared. Calculating. That's worse. Fun." He shrugged. "Kinda. Not my fault if their math is bad." Rhea and Lucian came in last. She walked ahead while Lucian paused at the hallway junction, glancing toward the old observatory tower. It was sealed for most students. Not for him. He stood there a moment longer than necessary, then turned away. Class Zero split to their rooms. Lights dimmed down the corridor. Quiet returned, but it wasn't soft. It was the kind of quiet that sits right before a storm. Heavy, waiting, like the academy itself was holding its breath. In her room, Rhea sat on the edge of her bed, turning a data chip between her fingers without reading it. Her thoughts stayed on that golden pulse under Silas's skin. What happens when he figures it out? What does he become after that? And when he does, can she still stand beside him? Or does she start falling behind? She closed her eyes and let the question hang in the dark. No answer came, but the silence felt heavier than before. The next morning arrived wrapped in a strange, heavy quiet. Lucian was awake before the sun. He stood by the dorm window with his arms folded, eyes half-lidded, watching the sky shift from deep blue to dull silver as light crept through the mist. He didn't move, didn't blink much either, just waited for the world to wake up. By 7, the dorms were humming again. Students whispered in halls, heads turning as Class Zero passed. They weren't staring out of curiosity anymore. It was something sharper now. Caution. Like people had silently agreed these 5 weren't the kind you poke for fun. Evelyn was brushing her teeth when the dorm intercom chimed. "All Class Zero members. Proceed to East Wing Courtyard." Immediate summons. Rhea looked up from her chair, hair still damp from her shower. Silas paused mid-stretch. Then it just slipped back in from whatever pre-dawn training she did off the grid. They traded a quick glance. Lucian was already walking out. No one asked why. They just followed. The East Courtyard was empty when they arrived. No students. No background noise. Only the faint mechanical hum of surveillance, drones circling high above, watching like cold, silent birds. Athena stood near the center with her hands clasped behind her back. Her black coat flickered in the breeze. She looked like she hadn't slept, but her posture was steady, too controlled. That kind of calm didn't come from comfort. It came from surviving things you never talk about. Lucian stopped a few steps in front of her. The others lined up behind him without needing to be told. Athena didn't speak right away. She just looked at them, one by one. Not warm, not cold. Surgical, like she was checking for hidden fractures. None of them flinched. Finally, she stopped pacing. "You've made the board spin," she said, voice low and flat. "Every instructor has seen the replays. Every sector head is rethinking placements. I shut down 6 interview requests before they ever reached your files." She let the words sit in the air. Class Zero just became dangerous. Nobody replied. Then Athena's eyes narrowed slightly. Not angry, more curious. "You were all E-rank 2 days ago," she said. "Now you're C." No accusation in her tone, just the fact hanging there. Evelyn blinked. "We kind of woke up like this." Silas scratched the back of his neck. "Yeah, morning felt weird." Rhea kept her hands at her sides. "We didn't do anything different." Athena studied them again, slower now. No panic, no bluff. They weren't playing dumb. They really didn't know. Except Lucian. Her gaze stayed on him a beat longer. He gave her nothing. Athena nodded once and didn't push. Doesn't matter, she said. C rank is your new baseline. The rest of the academy will notice soon, and your next matches won't be friendly. Sector 12 has a striker who breaks bone on contact. The private duelist team has a kinetic twin-core user. You're about to face people trained to kill. Evelyn swallowed, throat tight. Athena kept going. Your advantage won't last. Right now they're guessing. The moment they understand you, that edge is gone. Unless you adapt faster than they can. She stepped closer, voice dropping. You shifted the scale. That's rare. Most classes barely crawl forward. I chose each of you because you're not built for average growth. So listen. They straightened without thinking. There's no system, Athena said. No cheat sheet. No blessing that swoops in to save you. Whatever power you woke up with, it's yours to sharpen or waste. Lucian blinked once. Athena glanced around them one last time and nodded to herself. Good. She turned away, then paused. Oh, one more thing. Her coat tugged in the wind as she looked back over her shoulder. Don't worship the rankings. There's more moving under the surface this year than you think. Be ready for anything. Then she walked off, boots crunching on old stone. They stood there after she left, the quiet settling back in. Silas let out a slow breath. Was that a compliment? Evelyn crossed her arms. Closest thing to well done we'll ever get. Rhea tilted her head toward Lucian. You really don't want to say anything about the rank jump. Lucian shrugged, hands still in his pockets. Would it help? No. Then I won't. Vin didn't speak at all. She was already drifting toward the shadows at the edge of the courtyard, as if the briefing was just another thing to pass through on her way to training. The others started to move too, slower, casual. Lucian lingered half a second longer, eyes lifting to the domed sky, watching clouds curve along the barrier. Then he stepped forward. The change in the air was tiny, barely a twitch in the wind. Not enough to tug Rhea's damp hair. Not enough to make anyone else pause. But Lucian did. Mid-step, he stopped. His eyes shifted sideways, not even turning his head. A delay so small no one else could have caught it. Then he heard it. Soft. Wrong. A thin, high-pitched whine buried inside the breeze. Rhea's head snapped up just as the air above the eastern tower cracked. 5 shapes peeled out of optical camo and dropped from the roof. Assassins. Black gear. No academy uniform. No emblems. Professional. Lucian moved before anyone's brain could register danger. The first attacker landed behind Rhea, twin blades already swinging for her throat. He didn't get close. Lucian's hand shot out, sharp and casual. He caught the assassin's wrist mid-swing, twisted, and drove an elbow into the man's gut. A dry thud. The attacker folded, unconscious before he hit the stone. The second landed low, slashing for Lucian's legs. Lucian didn't dodge. He caught the blade barehanded. It sliced skin for a heartbeat, then sealed shut instantly, flesh knitting like it had a will of its own. Lucian pulled the man forward, spun, and drove his knee into the side of his head. Mask cracked. Body dropped limp. 2 down. The last 3 came together, coordinated and fast. 1 from behind. 1 from above. 1 fainting straight in. Lucian vanished. Not teleportation. No flash. He just wasn't where they thought he was. The one behind him screamed as his limbs twisted wrong. The airborne attacker caught a roundhouse mid-fall. Ribs folded. He hit the ground like a sack of iron. The front attacker didn't even get time to adapt. Lucian walked past him, eyes forward. A beat later, the assassin's legs gave out. He face-planted into stone. 5 bodies. Less than 5 seconds. Rhea hadn't moved once. She blinked, slow, then looked around. Was that? Ambush, Lucian said calmly, brushing dust off his sleeve. Sloppy. Silas came running from the west wing, shirt half-buttoned, Evelyn right behind him. What was that noise? Silas demanded, then froze at the bodies. Evelyn stopped dead. Oh, Rhea pointed at Lucian. He handled it. Silas stared at the attackers, then at Lucian. You don't even look tired. I'm not. They stood there a moment in stunned quiet as Vin reappeared at the far edge of the courtyard. She didn't ask anything. She scanned the scene, nodded once, and vanished again. Athena arrived a breath later, already armed. She saw the bodies, saw Lucian, and stopped. How long ago? She asked. Lucian glanced at his wrist. 12 seconds. Athena exhaled. Anyone hurt? No. She stepped over one body and crouched. Her eyes swept the gear. No academy tags. No signatures. High-end tech, clean, off-market. She stood. These aren't students. Lucian nodded. Someone slipped them past the dome. Athena's jaw tightened. Then someone's testing you. Or trying to erase you. Silas cracked his knuckles. Can we take that personally? Feel free, Athena said, eyes scanning the rooftops. But keep it quiet. No reports. Not yet. Rhea folded her arms. Someone's scared. They should be, Athena replied. Lucian looked toward the northern wall where the shadows sat thickest. This won't be the last. Athena nodded once. I know. She didn't linger. A private comm flickered at her ear. Cleanup drones swept in, and the bodies were gone almost before the courtyard could process they'd been there. The space emptied again. Quiet returned. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that tells you the game just changed again. Lucian didn't say another word. He walked back toward the dorms as if nothing had happened. No blood on his face. No tension in his shoulders. Just another morning.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Here's the continuation you asked for, written in a grounded, anime-style tone with the requested elements in about 1,300 words. The arena was already buzzing when Class 0 stepped out of the East Wing. You could feel it in the air, tension that stuck to the skin like static before a storm. Students from different classes were already piling in, groups gathered in small clusters, talking, laughing, some pretending not to notice Class 0 as they passed. But the glances were always there, some masked with fake smiles, others blatant with unease. Rhea adjusted her jacket without looking up. Feels like everyone's watching. They are, Silas muttered. Vin didn't say a word. She never did unless she had to. She walked at the back, silent and still like a shadow no one could touch. Lucian led the group with that same calm step. Not too fast, not slow. Just steady. Evelyn walked beside him. They're going to expect something crazy from us. They always do, he replied. The path to the arena cut through one of the main courtyards, wide and clean with white stones and climbing vines that hadn't quite bloomed yet. They were halfway across when someone stepped into their path. Ah, so this is Class 0, the man said, his voice smooth, charming, and too deliberate to be natural. They stopped automatically. Even Lucian, not because he was impressed, because he recognized the voice. Aaron Thorne. Evelyn whispered, eyes widening. That's the Thorne Patriarch. The man stopped a few steps from them. You've caused quite a stir, you know. The instructors can't stop whispering. The forums have been flooded with clips and comments. And my son, well, Garrick tells me you're terrifying. He chuckled. Silas squinted. He doesn't sound terrified. Oh, he is, Aaron smiled wider. He just doesn't show it well. Rhea stepped behind Lucian slightly. Her instincts told her something was off. Too smooth. Too confident. Aaron's gaze scanned across each of them like he was browsing auction pieces. It wasn't lust or hate. Just that cold, polite curiosity rich men carried when they knew they could buy anything if they pressed hard enough. Then his eyes stopped on Vin. My niece, he said. The words hit like a sudden drop in pressure. Evelyn's head snapped toward Vin. What? Even Rhea blinked. Silas raised a brow. Wait, she's a Thorne? Lucian didn't react, but his mind sharpened like a blade. Vin just stood there, blank-faced, unmoved. If she was shocked, she didn't show it. If she was angry, she buried it. Aaron stepped closer, tone shifting slightly, like he was claiming something. Vin Thorne, my brother's child. A little recluse, with talent no one quite knew how to handle. Until now, I suppose. He smiled again. You've done well to grow this much. I'll look forward to watching your progress. Lucian's eyes stayed locked on the man, not moving, not blinking. He knew that voice, that posture, that smile. Aaron Thorne was the same man who, in another lifetime, smiled like that while whispering to world leaders, bribing hunters, and poisoning the bloodlines of enemies like Lucian. A man who built his empire not on strength, but manipulation. A master of invisible chains. And the poison that ended Lucian's last life came from Aaron's lab. It wasn't rage that stirred in Lucian now. It was something colder. Aaron's smile lingered. I'm surprised you haven't introduced yourselves. No bows. No greetings? Surely, I'm not that intimidating. Lucian stepped forward just a little, close enough that Aaron's grin twitched for a second. Then he walked past him, didn't say a word, didn't even look, just walked. Rhea blinked, then followed. Evelyn frowned, unsure, then moved after him too. Silas glanced at Vin. You okay? She nodded once, didn't speak, then walked. Silas went after her. Aaron turned slowly, smile cracking at the edges as he watched Class 0 walk away, like he wasn't even worth the breath. For a second, he didn't move. Then he laughed. Soft, but hollow. The kind of laugh that sounded more like a hiss behind silk. I see, he said quietly. No one heard it except the guards nearby, and they didn't dare speak. Aaron stood there for a moment longer, his smile fully gone now, eyes narrowing at Lucian's back as it disappeared into the crowd. There was something in that stare. Not hate, not surprise, but interest. Intense, calculating interest. He turned to one of his aides. Give me everything we have on Lucian Black. The man nodded and vanished. Meanwhile, inside the arena, the atmosphere was shifting fast. Massive floating screens hovered above the Colosseum-style structure. Rows of seats were already filled, and the buzzing crowd grew louder as rumors spread. Did you see who Aaron just talked to? Was that Vin? Vin Thorne? No way. The Thorne bloodline's got another one. Class 0's stacked. They say Lucian beat 5 assassins alone this morning. The noise grew louder with every rumor. But Class 0 didn't react. They entered the lower prep zone without a word, boots echoing down the metallic corridor as the sound above faded into muffled roars. Inside the locker prep room, Athena waited. Her arms crossed. She glanced at them, then at the security footage playing on the small wall screen. You met Aaron. Lucian didn't answer. Athena tilted her head slightly. Careful around him. He's powerful, not in a flashy way, but the quiet kind. The kind that rewrites contracts while smiling. The kind that has people killed with silk gloves. Rhea pulled her gloves tighter. We noticed. Vin sat on the bench near the wall, eyes fixed on the arena. Athena looked at her for a moment. You don't owe him anything. Vin didn't reply. Athena turned toward Lucian. You don't like him. He finally spoke. I know what he is. Same. No more was said about it. Instead, she turned to the full group. The inter-class matches start in 10. You won't be fighting today, but you'll be watching everything. Take notes. Learn patterns. Spot flaws. Silas scratched his head. What are we looking for? Future enemies. Evelyn's eyes flicked up. You really think the other classes can match us now? No, Athena said, but numbers matter, and ego makes people do stupid things. They won't come at you one-on-one. They'll plan. Schemes, ambushes, dirty tricks. That's the game now. Rhea exhaled. Great. Athena looked at Lucian again. You especially. The whispers around you are getting louder. They're starting to think you're something more than just a strong rookie. That kind of attention always draws fire. Lucian said nothing. Athena didn't expect him to. She glanced back toward the entrance. Head to the main seats. I reserved a private box for you. Watch closely. You'll be up soon enough. They filed out. The crowd inside was louder now, cheering as the first match began. A team from Class 6 was entering the ring. 5 against 5. The arena below shifted terrain settings, metal panels folding and unfolding to create a rocky battlefield with low visibility and jagged edges. Silas leaned over the railing. Kinda looks fun. Rhea raised a brow. Your definition of fun needs help. Vin stayed quiet, but her eyes didn't miss a movement below. Evelyn pulled her hair back into a loose tie. Guess we wait our turn. Lucian stood at the edge of the booth, arms folded, watching, not the fight, But the crowd, somewhere in there, eyes were watching him back. The next day, the crowd roared as the first match kicked off. Class 6 versus Class 3. 10 students dropped into the reshaped arena, boots hitting metal before the rocky terrain fully formed. Artificial fog hissed out from the arena vents. Jagged structures jutted up, forming broken hills and narrow gaps. Visibility was trash, perfect for ambushes. From the private booth, Class 0 watched in silence. The glass gave a perfect top-down view, like watching rats in a maze. Only these rats had mana blades, gauntlets, and elemental cores strapped to their backs. Evelyn leaned forward a bit. Class 6 got the numbers, but Class 3's got that guy with the lightning tattoos, right? Rhea nodded. Psych. Rank D. Fights like a berserker, but he's fast. If they let him loose. Below it started. First flash of movement. A student from Class 6 darted behind one of the spires, launching a smoke orb high. Another hurled a flashbang toward the other side. The arena glowed briefly before the fog swallowed it again. Then came the flicker. Blue lightning. A scream. One of the Class 6 students dropped hard, smoke rising from his chest plate. Psych's in, Silas said. Damn, he's fast. They watched the chaos unfold like it was clockwork. Every move calculated to bait or mislead. Spells clashed mid-air, explosions shaking the terrain, shockwaves rattling the glass of their booth. Lucian didn't move. He was watching everything, but not just the fight. His eyes were sweeping the upper seats, noting who was watching too closely. Not fans, not instructors, observers, powerful ones, political ones. And in the VIP section, far above the main arena, Aaron Thorne was watching too. He sat back with his fingers folded beneath his chin, face unreadable. But his eyes never left the Class 0 box. Beside him, Aldrich stood in silence, wearing a sharp suit with a loose collar and no tie. Casual, unbothered. He wasn't paying much attention to the match either, until Aaron leaned in and said something low. Real low, just a few words. Aldrich blinked once. Then a slow smile spread on his lips. He tilted his head, following Aaron's gaze, and locked eyes with Class 0's booth. Specifically with Lucian, and then Evelyn. The way his smile sharpened just a little said everything. Rhea felt something. She glanced toward Lucian and leaned closer. Someone's watching. He didn't answer, but his body had already gone still. Then slowly, he turned his head and locked eyes with Aldrich across the distance. It lasted half a second, but in that half second, something passed between them, like cold metal scraping bone. Aldrich's grin widened. Aaron smiled again, softer now. No longer the charming patriarch. Just patient, calculating. He looked back down at the match, even as Class 6 fell apart below. Let them have their little victories, he murmured. Zenith week's a bubble. Once it ends, he didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Aldrich nodded slowly, folding his arms. We'll remind them. The crowd exploded again. Zyke had just ended the last Class 6 member with a brutal elbow to the temple, lightning still sparking off his skin. The referee barrier shot up a second later, halting the match. Class 3 won. But the buzz wasn't about them. Everyone was still talking about Class 0, and they hadn't even fought yet. Inside the booth, Vin stood and walked to the corner, silent. Her eyes drifted to the arena, but her mind was clearly elsewhere. Evelyn watched her for a second, then leaned back in her seat. Rhea, she said suddenly, what's Vin's fighting style? We haven't really seen her go all out. Rhea adjusted her gloves. You'll see soon. Silas glanced over. You say that like it's a warning. Rhea gave a small smirk. It is. Lucian didn't comment. He stayed at the front of the booth, arms folded, watching the cleanup team reset the arena for the next match. Athena's voice buzzed into their earpieces. You'll be up after the next round. Stay alert. Rhea exhaled. Guess this is it. Lucian finally moved, cracking his neck slightly. Just watch each other's backs, he said, voice low. Simple. Human. That was enough. They all nodded. Down in the prep corridors, Zyke walked past a hallway mirror and wiped the blood from his lip. His knuckles were still sparking slightly from leftover current. He didn't look tired. If anything, he looked annoyed. Only took 5 hits, he muttered. Behind him, one of his teammates chuckled. You're never satisfied. I'm not here to scrape wins, he muttered. I'm here to see how I measure against that Class 0 freak. Lucian Black. Everyone knew the name now, and Zyke wanted a real fight, one he could bleed in. Meanwhile, Aaron stood from his seat above and stretched casually. I'll be stepping out, he said to Aldrich. Where to? Lobby, Aaron replied. Need to speak with a few sponsors. Calm the tides before they rise too high. Aldrich followed, hands in his pockets. You think Class 0's that big a threat already? Aaron smiled, but it wasn't a warm one. I don't care how strong a puppy is. If it grows into a wolf, you put a chain on it, or you put it down. He paused just before entering the private elevator. But not during Zenith Week, he added. Let the school have its games. Aldrich nodded, still watching the arena. And after? Aaron pressed the button, the doors sliding closed. Just before they shut, he smiled again and said one last thing. Aldrich's lips curved slowly. He turned back to face the glass wall, eyes settling on Evelyn, and then on Lucian again, like a man watching a puzzle unfold, and already knowing where the missing pieces were. Back in the arena, the second match began. Terrain changed again, this time into a desert-style setup. Sand dunes, heat mirage effect, mana distortion across the battlefield. Rhea narrowed her eyes. Now that's annoying. Visual suppression, Evelyn muttered. They're testing how well we adapt. Silas stretched. Good thing we've got a living radar. Lucian just stepped forward, eyes locked on the arena. His gaze never shifted from the incoming teams. But deep inside, something tightened. He didn't know what Aaron was planning, but he could feel it coming. Not now, not during Zenith, but after? After, the real game would begin, and Class 0 would be in the center of it. The next match was called. A loud tone echoed across the arena, and a deep voice cut through the crowd. Class 0, Sector 12. Prepare for deployment. The arena lights dimmed. The glass booth slid open. Lucian stepped forward first. Behind him, Evelyn rolled her shoulders. Rhea tied her hair. Silas cracked his knuckles. Vin just walked quiet and calm like always, but her eyes were already shifting, pupils dilating like a predator sinking with the field. The crowd noticed. People leaned forward. Even the other academies stopped what they were doing. Class 0, the Freak Squad. But this time, they weren't facing some C-rank nobodies. Sector 12 came in hard. 4 of them dropped into the sandstorm terrain with the weight of soldiers. The striker hit the ground with a dull boom, boots digging in. She was tall, broad-shouldered, eyes cold. Lucian knew her file, Brisa. Rank C+, but she'd killed people in underground fights. Her mana was dense. She wasn't just built for tournaments. She was built to end lives. Next to her, the duelist twins adjusted their gloves. Pale skin, mirrored scars, cores synced in opposite flow patterns. Kinetic amplification. One focused on mass, the other on velocity. The fourth wore a mask. Lucian had no data on him. That was the threat. The sand terrain crackled as the arena completed shaping. Heat waves shimmered. Mana distortion kicked in. No long-range accuracy. No vision beyond 30 meters. Engage. The siren sounded. Lucian moved instantly. Not to attack. To anchor. Spatial anchor. Zone lock. The air shimmered around his team, stabilizing the distortion around them. Vin, you're free. Vin's eyes flashed violet as her fingers slid apart gently. Magic flow control, domain threading. The sand stopped moving around her feet. Mana obeyed. She walked forward, steps never sinking, as if the terrain bent for her. Brisa came in a blur, no warning. She didn't run. She lunged, arm cocked back. Lucian caught it. His left palm grabbed her wrist, and the impact cracked the air. A shockwave kicked up sand. Brisa's expression didn't change. Neither did Lucian's. She twisted midair and brought her knee up. Temporal slow, sector lock. Lucian flickered, barely a blur, and her knee met empty space. Silas appeared above her in mid-drop, boots slamming down on her back. He was faster than most, strong too, but Brisa caught him mid-crush. Her spine arched. Her mana exploded outward like a bomb. Silas was thrown across the battlefield, blood spraying from his mouth. Rhea flinched, but she didn't panic. She reached out mentally, brushing everyone's surface thoughts in the chaos. Telepathic sync, battle stream. Left side, twins flanking, aiming for Evelyn. Lucian, she's breaking your field. Lucian replied only with a thought. Let her. Vin stepped to the center and raised her hand. Magic deconstruction, flow sever. The sand around the twins liquefied instantly. Their balance slipped just enough. Evelyn grinned and snapped her fingers. She vanished, appeared behind the left twin, and drove a knee straight into his kidney. She vanished again. A second, Evelyn kicked the other twin square in the face. He blocked it, barely, but his foot skidded back hard. Try harder, Evelyn whispered. They did. One twin twisted his core flow and slammed a wall of kinetic force outward. Evelyn's clone shattered, but the real one was already crouched beside him, spinning low. He coughed blood and hit the ground. The other one turned toward her. Rhea blinked. Nope. Psychic detonate. She overloaded his flow with a single pulse. The twin's body seized up. A sharp snap echoed. He collapsed. Vin raised both hands now. The masked one was charging her, sprinting fast enough to blur. Mana flare, layer compression. She crushed the magic in a 5-meter radius. The masked fighter tried to swing a chain blade. Too late. Lucian was there now. Dimensional fold. One step. He was inside his guard. One jab. Fast, direct. The masked fighter exploded backward, smashing through a dune and disappearing in the dust. Lucian turned slightly. I said, he muttered, stay safe. He turned to Brisa again. She was gone. Then he felt it. Behind him. Brisa's fist was inches from his back. He didn't dodge. Vin. Magic assist. Flow redirect. Vin twitched her fingers. Brisa's punch twisted sideways, her own force turning against her. Lucian turned and landed a clean hook to her ribs. She spat blood and grinned. She liked it. She slammed her forehead into Lucian's. They both staggered. Brisa backed up. Lucian didn't. She charged again, yelling this time, finally letting herself loose. But Evelyn was already midair. She dove from above, axe kick slamming down. Brisa blocked it, and Evelyn grinned, because that wasn't the real one. The real Evelyn was behind her. Elbow, she said simply. Brisa dropped. Lucian exhaled slowly. Sand swirled around them. The battle was over. Every Sector 12 fighter was down. One unconscious. Two bleeding. One missing. Silas limped back, jaw clenched. You all right? Evelyn called out. He grunted. She hits like a truck. Still standing, though. Vin didn't say anything. She just waved a hand and let her control fade. The heat mirage calmed. The sand settled. Rhea stepped forward last, eye twitching. They were trained to kill, she muttered. They weren't holding back. No, Lucian agreed. They weren't. Athena's voice buzzed in their ears again. Match complete. Class 0, victory confirmed. The crowd? They went silent for 2 seconds, then exploded. Cheers shook the dome. But it wasn't like the other fights. This was louder, heavier, the kind of cheer that came with fear. Awe. Even the other boos were frozen. No one had expected a clean wipe. Not against killers. Class 0 regrouped at the center. Lucian looked at each of them. Silas was bruised but standing. Evelyn was smiling. Vin was already fading her mana down. Rhea's nose bled slightly from psychic strain. They were all fine. Lucian turned his gaze up, back to that private VIP box. Aaron wasn't there anymore, but Aldrich was. Still smiling. Still watching. Like a man setting the board for something bigger. And Lucian knew. This wasn't a game. This was the opening move. He turned away. No words needed. Class 0 walked off the battlefield. Unshaken. Unbroken. And now, feared. The crowd was still roaring behind them when the exit door sealed shut. The hallway lights flickered as Class 0 walked through, their footsteps soft against the polished floor. Lucian didn't say anything. Neither did the others. The battle was over, but the weight of it lingered in their skin, in the slight ache behind their eyes, in the low buzz of mana still slowly settling down. They turned the corner toward the dorm wing, and that's when they saw them. Waiting, blocking the way forward. No cheers here. No applause. Just presence. Dozens of them. Men and women dressed in black, white, chrome, and silk. No uniforms, but you could tell. Suits made for money. Robes tied with old magic. Some wore blades. Some didn't need to. Lucian stopped. Vin did too. Her eyes narrowed. Evelyn clicked her tongue. Here we go. Rhea looked down, jaw tight. Silas didn't even blink. The corridor was silent. Then one man stepped forward. You've caused quite the stir, he said. Voice smooth. No aggression, but no warmth either. Class 0. You've just become the most expensive team in the world. Lucian didn't answer. The man smiled. Hunter Association. We'd like to offer full sponsorship. Housing. Equipment. Freedom of choice. All of you. Another stepped up before he could finish. A woman in green. Her presence was heavy, arrogant without words. My family disagrees, she said. We're prepared to offer personal contracts. You will remain Class 0, but all 5 will be Verdant licensed. Exclusive rights. Access to our old archives. Training under direct house supervision. Denied, another voice said. Someone in dark violet now. Uriai. They didn't even make an offer. They just looked at Lucian like they already knew the outcome. A third stepped in. Mine House is willing to bid. 20 million credits per head. A lifetime of immunity and tech support. Evelyn snorted. We're not cattle. That's when it turned. Another woman spoke up, cold and poised. Marin does not trade bloodlines. Her eyes flicked to Evelyn. And Evelyn didn't say anything. Didn't smile. Didn't scoff. She just looked away. Lucian glanced at her. The silence between them was answer enough. More stepped forward now. One from Thorn. They looked at Vin. No words were spoken. Just a nod. Like a silent demand. Vin stared back flatly. Said nothing. No change in her face. But her mana pulled tight. Lucian could feel it. Another stepped forward. From Selim. Reyes stiffened. Silas did too. The man didn't even look at them. Just looked at Lucian. Our family is willing to consider shared custody with the Hunter Association. 2 of ours have bonded with you already. It's only logical we finalize it. Rhea clenched her fists. Lucian's voice was quiet. You didn't even look at them. The Selim rep paused. Silas stepped forward, just one pace. You never did. The man looked at him now, like he noticed him for the first time. Silas. Rhea, you understand what we're offering here. We're not yours, Rhea said. Lucian moved past them, stepping forward slowly. Let me guess, he said. You all watched the match. And now you're here. We watched more than the match, someone else said from behind. He turned. A woman from the Hunter Association. Younger. Sharp-eyed. We've been watching since Zenith Week started. You've changed something. The way battles are fought. The way people move. It's not just talent. It's design. Lucian raised an eyebrow. And we don't want it falling into the wrong hands. More murmurs followed. Some spoke directly to Evelyn. Some to Vin. Some to Silas. But all of it was noise. A territorial game. Lucian didn't answer any of them. He looked to his team. Rhea looked tired, but she was standing tall. Silas had a cut on his cheek, but his eyes were sharp. Evelyn crossed her arms, still watching everything. Vin was unreadable, but her mana was flaring ever so slightly. He turned back to the crowd. You all want a piece of us, Lucian said. But you're not talking to us. You're talking to your bloodlines. More silence. Lucian's voice stayed even. We fought together. Bled together. We made that win. All 5 of us. Nobody owns that. Be careful, Lucian, someone muttered. This world isn't fair. Wasn't asking it to be. That answer drew a few reactions. Some bitter smiles. Some annoyed eyes. But no one stepped forward now. They had expected bargaining. Instead, they got a refusal. A Thorn rep looked at Vin again. You're one of us. Vin tilted her head. Only when it's convenient, right? The Marin delegate moved slightly. Evelyn will return with us when Zenith ends. That was always the plan. Evelyn turned to Lucian. I never agreed to that. The Selim rep tried again. Rhea and Silas will be welcome back. Don't finish that sentence. Rhea cut in. We were never welcomed in the first place. The Hunter Association stepped forward again. Then what do you propose? Lucian shrugged. Nothing. You refuse all offers? I didn't say that, Lucian replied. I said we're not for sale. The woman narrowed her eyes. Same thing. Lucian gave her a small, tired smile. To you. They tried again. Politely, firmly, quietly. But none of it mattered. The 5 of them started walking. Right through the middle. No one stopped them. They didn't need to fight again. Their presence alone was enough now. Lucian didn't look back. Neither did the others. When they reached the dorm entrance, Evelyn finally exhaled. That was fun. Shut up, Rhea muttered. Silas rubbed his temple. If I hear the word offer one more time, I'm burning someone's suit. Lucian glanced at Vin. She was staring straight ahead, silent. Vin, he asked. I won't go back, she said. Didn't ask you to. I know. They walked inside. The door closed behind them. The noise outside died instantly. Lucian dropped into a chair. The others slumped where they could. No victory speeches. No celebration. Just a long, quiet moment. Finally, Evelyn broke it. So, she looked at Lucian. What now? Lucian didn't answer right away. His mind drifted back to the match. To the people in the hallway. To Aldrich's eyes watching from above. To the fact that none of this had even started yet. He leaned back, eyes half closed. Now, he said quietly, we wait. They didn't ask for what. They all knew. Later that evening. The wind was soft tonight. Not cold. Just quiet. Lucian sat alone outside the dorm, back resting against the training hall wall, a can of some fizzy drink Evelyn left behind in one hand. The moon sat heavy above, silver spilling across the tiles like water. He didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Not yet. Then he heard it. A dull thud. Another. And another. He looked toward the grove on the edge of the training field. Another thud. The trees out there were reinforced, built with mana to take hits from people like them. Still, it didn't sound right. Too sharp. Too tired. Lucian sighed and blinked out of sight. When he reappeared, Silas was mid-swing, fists slamming against bark. His knuckles were raw. Blood seeped in his wrist wrap. Mana cracked in the air, faint sparks clinging to his arm. The tree didn't budge. Lucian watched for a moment, then stepped forward and leaned against the opposite side of the trunk. You planning to break your arm? He asked, voice soft. Silas didn't stop. Just training. At midnight. Silas punched again. Couldn't sleep. Lucian nodded slowly. You could have just said that. Silas lowered his fist finally. Breathing hard. Lucian studied him. The way his shoulders were hunched. The slight tremble in his hands. The tightness in his jaw. Hey, Lucian said. What's up with you? Silas glanced sideways. What do you mean? You've been quiet all day. I'm always quiet. Yeah, but usually it's a dumb kind of quiet. The kind where you're waiting to say something stupid and ruin the mood. Silas almost smiled. Almost. Lucian pushed off the tree and walked closer. That's not the Silas I know. You don't sulk. You complain. You say weird shit. You're the idiot who throws a punch first and thinks later. Silas looked down. Lucian tilted his head. So, what's wrong? Silas let the silence sit for a while. The wind stirred his hair. His fists were still clenched. Blood crusted across the wrap now. Then he spoke. Earlier today, in the hallway. Lucian stayed quiet. Silas's voice dropped. When that Selim rep said, we were theirs, like we ever meant something. Lucian didn't answer. Silas's eyes didn't move. Do you know what it was like? Back in the house. Lucian stayed silent. Silas's words came slower now. Softer. Like each one had weight. They hated us. Our faces. Our hair. The way we looked like her. Like our mom. His breath hitched. She came back pregnant. After leaving them. Said she found love, found something better. Came back hoping they'd accept it. He scoffed. They didn't. They never did. Lucian sat down on the ground beside him, arms resting on his knees. He didn't interrupt. She got sick after the twins were born. Not physically. Just something snapped. They never let her leave the estate. Said they were protecting the bloodline. Said she brought shame. Silas clenched his jaw. We were 5 when she jumped from the balcony. Lucian looked down at the ground. The moon's light seemed colder now. They blamed us. Said she broke because of us. Said we were cursed. Tainted. The family name would rot if anyone found out she gave birth outside the blood pact. Silas's voice cracked now. Just a little. They made us stay. In that cold fucking estate. Tutors came, guards watched. But it wasn't living. Lucian didn't speak. He let the silence hold it. Let Silas breathe. You know what they called us? Silas muttered. Lucian turned his head. Waiting. House mistakes, Silas said. Not sons. Not nephews. Just mistakes. His fingers twitched. They never hit us. Not directly. But they didn't need to. They controlled everything. What we ate. Who we saw. What we read. Every move watched. Lucian swallowed hard. Rhea broke first, Silas said. She tried to run. Got caught. They didn't speak to her for a year. Not one word. No eye contact. No food unless I took it from the guards and gave it to her myself. Lucian shut his eyes. We were kids, man. Just kids. Silas leaned his forehead against the tree now. The bark scraped his skin, but he didn't care. And now they show up, pretending like we're part of them. Like they care. Like they fucking noticed. He laughed. Just once. Bitter. They only came because of you. Because of the simulation. Because of what we did today. Lucian looked at him. That's not your fault. It feels like it. It's not. Silas shook his head. We left that place 2 years ago. Got out thanks to that one maid who lied to the guards and said we were being relocated. Rhea almost died escaping. She cut her leg on the estate gate. Still has a scar. Lucian exhaled slowly. She limps when it rains. Silas said. They sat there for a while. Nothing but wind and old memories. Then Lucian looked over at him again. You never told me any of that. Silas laughed again. You think I talk for free? I thought you just liked being a dumbass. Still do. Lucian smiled faintly. Silas's voice went quiet again. I didn't expect it to hit so hard. Seeing them, hearing their voices. It's like everything came back. All the shit we buried. Lucian looked up at the stars. They don't get to define you, he said. Silas let out a slow breath. I know. Lucian stood, walked over, and held out his hand. Silas stared at it. Lucian raised an eyebrow. Come on, man. The tree's not going to apologize. Silas rolled his eyes and took the hand. Lucian pulled him up and patted his shoulder. You're not a mistake. Neither is Rhea. Silas didn't answer. He didn't need to. Lucian gave him a crooked smile. You're annoying. And reckless. And say the dumbest things I've ever heard. But you're not broken. Silas finally smiled. You're such a bad liar. Lucian shrugged. Takes one to know one. They started walking back. The night stretched quiet behind them. Just 2 boys. 2 survivors. No bloodline. No estate. No cage. Just themselves. And what they chose to be. Under the fading light of the evening, deep in one of the restricted faculty lounges tucked behind the central spire of the academy, Athena stood with her arms folded, back to the window, her expression unreadable. The room was quiet. No hum of magic, no chatter, no fake smiles. Just her in them. 3 figures sat across the long obsidian table. Representatives of the big houses, people who didn't blink when a nation fell, or when children were forced into contracts before they could spell their own names. To Athena, they smelled like old paper and dry blood. She didn't offer them tea. She didn't sit down either. The first to speak was a tall man with silver cuffs and a crest embroidered in gold. House Selim. His voice was polite but dry. Instructor Athena. We come in goodwill. A discussion, nothing more. Athena stared at him for 5 seconds before speaking. You sent a letter to my students without my approval. He tilted his head. It was simply an invitation. Don't do it again, she said. Flat. No rise. No fall. Just a statement. The woman beside him, elegant, sharp cheekbones, veil of black silk hanging from her hairpin, leaned forward. House Virile. She had once been a war tactician. Now she did politics in heels. I think you misunderstand, she said with a tight smile. Class 0 is exceptional. Their potential is limitless. The academy is a tool, a fine one but limited. We're offering them doors. Open ones. Athena's gaze narrowed, just slightly. You see a tool. I see a person. The last man hadn't spoken yet. Dark suit, crimson tie. Not a noble. Hunter Association. A liaison, supposedly. Someone who smiled too easily, shook hands too firmly. He tapped the table once, then spoke. We've already submitted a formal request for evaluation rights. We're within our jurisdiction. No, Athena said. The woman blinked. Excuse me. No, she repeated. Silence fell for a few seconds. The man from Selim straightened his back. Instructor Athena, you understand who we are? You understand what we represent. I do, she replied. Power, wealth, arrogance. The virile lady's lips thinned. Watch your tone, instructor. No, Athena said again, and this time she took a step forward. And the room changed. She didn't raise her mana, didn't flex power or light or sacred energy. But it felt heavier in that room all of a sudden, like time itself had leaned forward to listen. Her eyes locked with each of theirs. Slow, one at a time. You think just because you fund portions of the academy, you have say in how I train my class. Her voice was calm, but something sharp edged through it. You think because they're young, you can pluck them like flowers and toss them aside when they wilt. The hunter rep tried to interject. We aren't enemies here. Then stop acting like one. Athena cut in. You didn't ask. You informed. That's not cooperation. That's a threat. How Selim's man exhaled. We can make this hard for you. You know that. Athena didn't flinch. You can try. Funding can vanish, he said, eyes narrowing. Athena smirked. Then we'll adapt. The academy survived before you ever put a coin into it. You think I won't fight for my students because of a paycheck? The virile woman's voice dipped lower. You're protecting children with volatile lineages. One has no recorded past. One's spirit signature doesn't match her records. Two of them are exiled from bloodbound families. One of them, Lucian, has an undefined system class. That's dangerous. Athena walked around the table, slow, deliberate steps. You just described half the heroes who saved the world in the last war, she said. You think danger is a reason to leash someone? Or is it just that this time, the danger doesn't belong to you? That silenced the room for a breath. Then she reached the head of the table and rested her hands on it, leaning forward just enough that her eyes caught all three of theirs. I've buried friends, she said quietly. Students, people who trusted the wrong hands. I won't bury these ones. The hunter rep frowned. We only want to evaluate. No, Athena said. That word doesn't seem to register, so I'll say it in a way you understand. She straightened. Her voice didn't rise, but her words hit like strikes. Article 9 of the Academy Charter states that once a student is registered under personal instruction, no external house, agency, or group may influence their progression without signed consent from both instructor and student. The three went still. Athena let the silence sit, then added, I've signed nothing. And I promise you, neither will they. The virile lady tried to keep her cool. You're gambling with their futures. Athena's face softened just slightly. No, she said. I'm letting them build it. For the first time in their lives, they have space. I won't let you take that. How Selim's man stood up. You'll regret this. Athena shrugged. Then I'll regret it proudly. The man scowled. This isn't over. Unfortunately for you, Athena said as she turned her back on them. It already is. They left the room moments later. No handshakes. No final words. Just the quiet hiss of the door sealing behind them. Athena stood alone for a while longer. She looked out the window again. Moonlight touched the field where the students had trained earlier. Class 0. Rough edges. Blurred pasts. Brilliant futures. She didn't say it out loud, but she knew it. None of them were ready for what was coming. But they didn't need to be. They just needed time. And she would buy it. However long it took. Whatever it cost. She finally turned from the window and left the room. Zenith Week was tomorrow. And no one, no house, no title, no association was going to get in her way. Lucian's dorm, night before Zenith Week. The city outside was quiet. Not dead quiet, just the kind of soft silence that came when the world finally let itself exhale. Inside his dorm, Lucian sat at the edge of his bed. No shirt, just his sweatpants, hands resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the floor. The faint hum of the wall lamp painted one side of his face in pale gold. The other half was shadow. He hadn't said a word since returning. Everyone else had gone off, some to rest, others to eat or waste time like they weren't about to walk in hell tomorrow. Rhea asked if he wanted to hang out in the lounge. He smiled and told her no. Vin nodded at him on the way out, nothing more. Evelyn had tried to get something out of him too, but he'd shut it down with a quiet, I'm good. Truth was, he wasn't. His fingers twitched once. Then again. This whole time, weeks now, he'd been pacing himself, holding back, not for anyone else's sake, just because it was easier. The system gave him too much freedom, too much power, infinite allocation, no boundaries. He could pump every point into one stat, break the rules, crush ceilings. He could kill a dungeon boss solo if he felt like it. Could do a lot of things, but he didn't. Didn't want to stand out. Didn't want the eyes, the whispers, the weight of being that guy again. He tilted his head back and stared at the ceiling. The conversation today, Athena and those people, still lingered like smoke behind his eyes. He wasn't stupid. He knew what they were planning. The way they talked about them. About him. Undefined system class. Unknown lineage. Wild card. He scoffed. And for a second, something cracked behind his gaze. He stood, walked over to the darkened window, and looked out. The courtyard was empty now. Even the moon seemed tired. Just a dull white shape barely holding itself up in the sky. Lucian leaned his forehead against the glass. He whispered, "Kale." A flicker. Then came the familiar voice, calm, androgynous, faintly mechanical, but with warmth hidden beneath it. System Kale initialized. User, Lucian Black. Rank D. Level 3. Stats, 600, distributed evenly. System class, Infinity class, undefined. Skill tree, Space-time manipulation, SSS. Sub-abilities unlocked. Fold step, spatial lock, temporal slow, chrono sense, dimensional claw, chrono rewind, spatial anchor. Omnilingualism, SSS. Special title, Riftwalker. System points, infinity. Would you like to begin advancement trial? Lucian didn't respond right away. He stared at the prompt for a long time. His breath fogged up a small patch of the window. "I've been lazy," he muttered. Kale didn't reply. "I could have gone further. I know I could have. Still nothing. But I didn't." His fists clenched slightly. "I wanted to feel normal for once. Just a student. Just a guy in a dorm room with weird friends and a schedule." He turned from the window and walked slowly to the center of the room. But they don't want that. His eyes sharpened. They want a weapon they can control, or a threat they can erase. He stopped. "I'll be neither." Lucian raised his hand, palm open, and whispered again. "Begin trial. Advancement trial. Initiated. Target. Rank C advancement. Location. Personal subspace layer. User exclusive. Objective. Survive. Adapt. Dominate. System class buffs applied. Simulation locked. Only death ends the trial. Proceed?" He nodded once, and the room vanished. The moment his feet touched the trial plane, heat hit him like a brick wall. He stood in the center of a red desert, cracked and dry. The sun wasn't in the sky. It was the sky. A bleeding orb that scorched everything beneath it. Kale's voice echoed quietly in his mind. "Time in this realm flows differently. You will return with only seconds passed in reality. Begin when ready." Lucian looked down at his hands. His system flared once, and in the blink of an eye, he vanished. Fold step. He reappeared mid-air, spun once, and crashed down hard onto the desert floor, his foot creating a spiderweb crater of force. Monsters rose. Six-legged beasts, obsidian hide, green lava leaking from their mouths. Dozens of them. No delay. No mercy. Lucian didn't waste time either. He raised his hand, and the air bent. Spatial lock. The first wave of creatures stopped mid-leap, frozen in space. He walked through them like a shadow through fog. Dimensional claw formed in his hand, black-edged, curved like a talon made of folded space itself. He sliced once. The creatures disintegrated before they even bled. The sky cracked. Phase 2. A new entity descended. Winged. Massive. A spectral reaper with chains of glass and bone. Its face veiled in threads of silver flame. Lucian's heart didn't even jump. He blinked. Chrono slow, activated mid-battle, freezing the creature's momentum. He moved around it, reading its pattern, watching the way its wings adjusted. Then Chrono rewind, resetting its position. The moment it reappeared, boom! He drove his palm into its chest and activated spatial anchor. The creature imploded. Lucian stood alone in the dust that followed. His breath calm. Kale's voice returned. Phase 3 incoming. Final enemy. You. And that's when he saw it. Another him. Same face, same build, no emotion, but the aura was different. It radiated force, not raw power, but something far worse. Intention. Lucian's clone didn't wait. He came forward fast, but Lucian didn't back down. Fold step, counter, claw met claw. One version aimed for the throat, the other ducked and spun low, kicking out his own ankle, catching himself midair with a warp blink. It was messy, wild, personal. Every trick he had, the clone had too. Every thought he formed, it was mirrored. It was the perfect enemy. But Lucian smiled, because that meant it had its flaws too. He lured it into a mist of bent light, a field he generated just as the clone slashed his shoulder. The pain burned, but he used the moment. Chrono rewind, reset the damage, caught the clone's arm mid-swing, and this time anchored it. Then with a slow step forward, he whispered, "Good night." The final strike tore through dimensions. The clone shattered, and the desert faded. Lucian opened his eyes in his room. No sweat, no wounds. Just him. Advancement complete. New rank C. Level 1. Stat limit 1000. All stats raised to 1000. New skill unlocked. Space-time collapse. Achievement gained. Sovereign of the Rift. You may now proceed to rank betrayal when ready. Optional early advancement to rank locked behind special requirement. Lucian let the system fade, and for a while he said nothing. Just sat on the floor, arms resting on his knees, eyes steady. The room was quiet again, but the air around him wasn't the same. Tomorrow, Zenith Week would begin, and for the first time, he wasn't going to take it easy. Lucian stood alone in the room once more, but the silence didn't settle. The system didn't close. Optional advancement to rank B, trial available. Special requirement met. Solo completion with perfect efficiency. A slow breath left his lips. All right. He closed his eyes, and when they opened again, the light inside them was different. Begin. Advancement trial, rank B. Trial tier, extreme. Restriction, no system help. No rewinds. No anchors. Just you. Commencing. Everything shattered. The room disappeared in a blink, not like before. This time, it was ripped from reality, torn and sucked into a black spiral of collapsing space. The world reassembled itself around him in pieces. Broken stars, drifting stone islands, lightning made of ink streaking across the void. Lucian found himself standing on a floating obsidian platform, cracked and bleeding light from its center. A faint pulse echoed under his feet. "This one's different," he muttered. The void above twisted and something fell. No announcement, no countdown, just a scream that didn't come from any mouth, a psychic pressure that cracked space itself. A monster landed, no, a king, taller than a building, skin like armored glass layered with stardust veins. 6 arms, each one armed with a different weapon, blade, hammer, lance, bow whip, and claws made of nothing but bending gravity. Its face wasn't a face, just a sunken hole, and inside it, shifting galaxies burned. Lucian didn't move, didn't flinch, but his system had been locked out. This was raw. No buffs, no boosts, no safety net. Good. He clenched his fists. The energy coiled under his skin like a beast breathing. Let's go. The creature launched first, too fast. Lucian barely bent sideways before the hammer struck the stone, sending a shockwave that ripped part of the platform into shards. He flipped midair, landed on one hand, spun, and pushed off with a fold step, aiming straight for the creature's back. But it twisted mid-swing and launched the whip. Lucian caught it barely. It wrapped around his arm, burning into his skin. He pulled. The monster didn't budge, but Lucian grinned. Didn't ask you to move. He spun, pulling himself toward the beast like a tethered comet, and unleashed a spinning kick coated in spatial distortion. His foot cracked open part of the creature's chest. Glass skin splintered. Cosmic blood leaked. The monster roared, not in pain, but in joy. It raised all 6 arms and fired. Bow launched 1,000 energy spears. Hammer caused gravity to shift. Lance extended through dimensions. The claws bent light into blades. Lucian warped again, but not fast enough. A blade grazed his cheek. Another tore through his side. The whip slammed his back mid-air, sending him crashing into another floating island. He coughed, blood staining his lips. The pain wasn't simulation pain. This was real. Raw. Alive. Shit. He sat up, wiped his mouth, and stood. Then smiled. This body can keep up. He clenched his hands again. Space twisted around him. Even without direct access to Kale, his instincts let him control the laws around him. He bent the gravity, slowed time in a bubble, then compressed his energy into his core. He didn't need help. This was his power, his to wield. He darted forward, faster than before. He blinked through reality, each fold step now a violent crack of displaced space. The monster reacted, lashing out with claws of gravitational force. Lucian ducked low, then leapt over the incoming lance, flipping mid-air to slam his knee into the monster's eye pit. It staggered. He didn't stop. He unleashed the dimensional claw again, but this time with added compression from his own spatial force. The blade didn't just slice, it erased. He carved across the monster's chest, and the wound bled black stars. It screamed, but now was bleeding properly. Lucian's breath was ragged, but his grin stayed sharp. The monster pulled back, then slammed both fists into the platform. The world cracked, shattered again. Islands flipped. Time slowed. Lightning reversed. The arena became a collapsing dream. Lucian floated above it all, calm. All right, my turn. He let go of everything. No holding back. No hesitating. Space-time began to scream. He lifted his hand, and the void bent around it. Space-time collapse. Manual mode. A swirl of purple, black, and blue erupted from his palm. A singularity, a controlled one. A gravity storm made from time itself. It bent light, screamed in silence. Everything started to get pulled toward it, stone, light, even the monster. It tried to fight, anchored its feet, spread its wings, screamed into the void. Lucian kept walking forward through his own collapse. Each step twisted gravity around him. He couldn't hear anything anymore, just the pulse of his own blood, his own will, his own rejection of every law that tried to bind him. The monster finally lunged, last-ditch move. Lucian appeared behind it. Fold step. He reached out, hand against its back, and whispered. End. The singularity pulled tight, and the monster folded inward. It collapsed not into nothingness, but into a sealed pocket of time, compressed so tight it couldn't breathe. Lucian locked the pocket, and it was over. The platform reassembled, somehow. He stood alone, blood on his side, shoulder burnt but steady. And then, system override complete. Rank B achieved. Level 5, stat limit 3000. Skill upgrade unlocked. Fold step, rift crash. Chrono rewind, reversal state. Space-time collapse. Mastery level achieved. New title earned. Breaker of Realms. Optional. Begin rank A trial. Requires external catalyst. Lucian let the words scroll past him. He didn't even move for a full minute. Then, slowly, sat down at the edge of the platform. A small grin pulled at the corner of his mouth. That was fun. The void started fading. The real world started pulling him back. Light spilled into his vision again, soft and golden. And then, he was back. His dorm. Same posture. Same spot. But everything was different. His breath leveled out. Eyes closed. And outside his window, the moon finally rose. Zenith Week would experience true power. And Lucian Black was done hiding. The Hunter's Academy. Garros sat at his desk, sleeves rolled up, coat draped over the chair behind him. His office was dim, the only light coming from the small lamp beside a stack of reports he hadn't touched in hours. The screen in front of him buzzed for a second, and then Athena's face came up. Yeah, he said, voice flat. She didn't waste time. It's done. Class 0 just finished their set. Garros leaned back, eyes narrowing a bit. How bad? Athena blinked. Not bad. You're serious. I wouldn't be calling if I wasn't. Garros turned in his chair slowly, glancing at the second monitor that tracked performance ratings in real time. You know how many people are watching this week? I do, she said. That's why I'm calling. Garros leaned forward again. Talk. Athena crossed her arms, exhaling lightly. Rhea blew the field wide open with raw speed and hand-to-hand control. Evelyn's replication evolved mid-fight, completely unscripted. Silas got creative, actually worked with her instead of freelancing. Vin didn't talk much, as usual, but I've never seen someone make that many clean strikes in a row. Didn't get touched? Not once. Garros scratched his beard, gaze flicking to the side. Lucian, there was a pause. Athena's expression didn't change, but something in her voice lowered. He didn't lose a single exchange. Garros's brow twitched. No injuries? No real exertion. TSH. She watched him in silence for a second. I thought the same thing, she added. But watching it unfold, the kid was calm, calculated, like he was just testing footing. Garros closed the file in front of him. So what? He's holding back. He's breathing. They didn't say anything after that for a moment. Outside, the city lights of Creighton's central district flickered through the tall windows. The hum of floating transports passed in the background. Everything felt muted in that moment between them. Already got 3 messages from recruiters, Athena said. One from the Einar group, one from the Von Albrecht faction, and someone from the association's upper divisions watching from the 5th ring. Told me to keep them updated. Garros leaned his elbows on the desk. And you think any of them could offer something worth his time? She gave a small shake of her head. No, but they'll still try. He scoffed. Of course they will. Athena glanced off screen, as if something caught her attention in the background. Probably more messages flooding her terminal. I'll hold them off for now, she said. But once the final round begins, we're going to have trouble keeping him off their radar. Garros sighed through his nose, long and heavy. What about the others? He asked. The rest of the class? They're fine. But Class 0 isn't really a class anymore. It's something else now. That made Garros look up again. Elaborate. They don't hesitate. That's the difference. Everyone else, even the older kids, even the recommendeds, they still hesitate when something shifts. These ones, they just move. Garros sat there, jaw tight, thumb brushing against the armrest. And the chemistry? Athena nodded slowly. There's trust. Not the fake kind you get from drills. It's instinct. Natural alignment. Evelyn and Silas adapted mid-run without speaking, then covered them without blinking. Rhea tracked 3 people at once. Lucian never looked back once, but they all still moved around him like he was the anchor. Garros didn't reply. Athena lowered her voice just slightly. You were right to let me take them. He gave a dry chuckle. You act like I had a choice. You always have a choice, she said. You just made the right one for once. Garros leaned back again, eyes half-lidded now. They're going to cause a stir, he muttered. All of them, not just him. Athena didn't disagree. Outside, the wind shifted again. The moon hung low above the city, casting a faint glow through the glass. Garros tapped a few keys, bringing up a separate file. Not the reports, something older. A profile. No name. Just a series of access lock data logs, some corrupted, some deliberately wiped. The screen pulsed faintly, then faded. He closed it. They're not ready for what's coming, he said. Which ones? Athena asked. He glanced at the screen again. Any of them. Athena was quiet, then added, Lucian already knows that. He's just watching. Garros gave her a look. And you're okay with that? I'm not his leash, she said. I'm just here to see what happens when he stops watching. For once, Garros didn't argue. He rubbed the side of his face, then said, What about the final rounds? They'll pass. All of them. Clean. Clean enough. Garros stared at her for a while. You're not telling me everything. I don't need to, she replied. Not yet. Fair. He let the silence settle, then clicked off the screen. Athena's image vanished, and Garros was alone again. But he didn't feel relaxed. Not even close. His fingers hovered over the keyboard for a few seconds before he reached under the desk and pulled out a different terminal, one not linked to the Academy's public grid. Just a blank screen. Then he spoke. Monitor Class 0. Full blackout protocol. Log but don't interfere. A pause. Then a soft beep confirmed it. Garros leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling for a long time. This is going to get messy, he muttered. Outside, the city didn't slow. Zenith Week was just beginning. And in the middle of it all, were kids who didn't feel like kids anymore. The next day, the arena buzzed louder than usual. Spectators filled every row, voices climbing into a steady roar as the morning announcements scrolled across the holograms. The center of the field shimmered, waiting for the first simulation to load in. Then a new line flashed across the main screen. Sharp, bold, unmistakable. Special challenge request. Target Class 0, Hunter Academy. The crowd reacted instantly. Whispers snapped into gasps. Even the instructors from other academies sat forward. Inside the prep corridor, Lucian raised a brow. Silas clicked his tongue. Rhea tilted her head slightly. Evelyn just smiled. Vin didn't say anything. As usual, back up on the leaderboard, the rankings updated. Sharp, digital, no drama, just facts. Class 0, Hunter Academy. Rank 1 to 99.8% composite score. Beneath them, the second-place team lagged almost 5 points behind. No one else was close. A new notification followed the challenge request. Accepted. The crowd lost it. Lucian stood, stretching slightly. No one asked who they were fighting. Didn't matter. Everyone wanted to see what happened when the top team stopped holding back. And today, the whole damn arena was watching. The crowd cheers dipped for a moment, like everyone caught their breath at once. The arena lights dimmed, just a little, then focused on the opposite corridor. A low hum rolled across the stadium floor, the kind of bass you didn't hear so much as feel in your chest. Then the names appeared, slowly, one after the other on the sky screen. Aegis Squad, independent entry. People started murmuring. Then the doors opened. 5 of them walked out together. No hesitation, no theatrics. Just solid footsteps that echoed off the polished floor. And when the lights hit them full, there was a hush. The kind that spread fast. One person whispered something, and it leapt through the whole arena like wildfire. Is that Rovan? No mistake. Rovenhale, the Thunder Vein. B-rank hunter, veteran of the Broken Ridge campaign. That scar across his mouth wasn't cosmetic. It was a clean slash from a mountain WIRM. He walked with his left hand in his pocket, the other resting on the grip of a short axe strapped across his back. The moment people recognized him, tension cracked through the stands. Behind him came Myri. Short, slim, covered in a sleek body-weave suit with no insignia. But her eyes were black, not colored black. Void Sorcerer, the last of the Fallborn from Sola District. She didn't speak. Never did. People who tried talking to her usually stopped mid-sentence like they'd forgotten why they started. Her presence was like a hole in the air, silent, sucking everything toward it. Third was Corrin, a heavy-set brawler with reinforced gauntlets etched with control runes. Former mercenary turned hunter. Famous for dismantling an entire black market beast ring in the outer territories by himself. His nickname stuck after the footage leaked. The Grinder. He cracked his knuckles as they walked. Just once. Loud enough for the sound team to mute the mics for a second. Fourth came Isha, twin blades on her back, walking slightly behind the others. Slender build, but her movements were tight. Clean, the kind that came from constant repetition, not talent. She was the only one who looked around the arena, lips curved in a quiet smile. A lot of older instructors whispered her name under their breath. That's Isha Turan, from Sector 9's Rogue Trials. She'd gone through them voluntarily. Alone. Last was Ash. No surname. Just Ash. Youngest looking of the 5, probably around Lucian's age, but the way he carried himself said otherwise. He had a stitch patch on his left sleeve, Null Ward. That was a special clearance code, reserved for units who faced stuff not even public records touched. The kind of things erased before they were understood. Ash glanced around once, then up at the scoreboard. No reaction, just calm eyes under black bangs, hands in his coat pockets. They didn't say a word. Didn't need to. The crowd knew who they were. Whispers turned to nervous chatter. Some younger teams looked away. Others leaned forward, eyes wide. The challenge wasn't just from a strong team. It was from a collective of solo legends. Veterans. Killers. People who should have never been grouped. Until today. Inside Class Zero's corridor, no one said anything for a moment. Lucian's gaze stayed fixed on the field. He wasn't tense. Just watching. Silas tilted his head. Huh. Evelyn raised a brow. You recognize them? No, Silas said. But the crowd does. Rhea blinked slowly, shifting weight to one side. They're not ranked. That's odd. Independent, Evelyn noted. They probably didn't go through academy rankings. They didn't, Vin muttered. Everyone looked at her. He shrugged, barely moving. They're not students. Lucian's eyes narrowed slightly. Back in the stands, even instructors started checking their terminals. Garo sat in the main director's booth, arms crossed as he watched the feed. They're stacking the board early, he muttered. Athena's voice came through his earpiece. Not my doing. He snorted. Didn't say it was. Then what's the problem? Those 5 aren't just a challenge. They're a message. Who sent it? Garo's didn't answer right away. The light shifted on the arena floor, signaling the countdown. Both teams now stood at their marks, Class 0 on one end, Aegis Squad on the other. The simulation gates shimmered, terrain slowly forming in between them. Towering stone ruins, collapsed archways, broken bridges, old tech scaffolds, like a graveyard of past wars. Perfect for a mid-combat test. The crowd grew quiet again as the final 5 seconds ticked down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The gates dropped. Lucian stepped forward calm, measured. Rhea flanked left, quick but fluid, eyes scanning. Evelyn raised a hand, glyphs already forming behind her shoulders. Silas grinned slightly and loosened his stance. Vin didn't move. Not yet. Across the field, Aegis Squad didn't rush. They separated instantly, fanning out like clockwork. Rovan took the high ground on a broken pillar. Myri faded into a shadowed tunnel. Isha moved right with her blades unsheathed. Corin stomped forward straight down the middle, drawing attention. Ash didn't move at all. He just stood there, watching Lucian. And for a split second, Lucian felt it. Not pressure, not fear, just awareness. Ash wasn't reading the field. He was reading him. The kind of stare only came from someone who'd been through things people didn't talk about. Who'd seen a fight where holding back even a second meant dying. Lucian didn't flinch. He didn't smile either. He just adjusted his collar, cracked his knuckles once, and vanished in emotion. The simulation had officially started, and everyone watching knew. This wasn't a normal match. This was a war between the future and the ghosts that refused to stay buried. And for the first time since Zenith Week began, nobody could guess how it would end. A low voice echoed through the arena, deep and steady. Now entering the field, Class 0 versus Aegis Squad. The lights pulsed once, matching the heartbeat of the crowd. Showdown of the Zenith Week. Cheers rose again, but this time with weight. This wasn't just another match. It felt like the kind of battle that would be replayed for years. Up in the broadcast booth, one of the older commentators exhaled slowly. This one's not just a challenge. It's history in motion. The second the gates vanished, the world between them twisted. The terrain shimmered like heat rising from metal, then solidified. Dark skies, jagged ruins, half-sunk towers leaning like broken fingers toward the void. Fog rolled low, stained copper by synthetic dusk. This wasn't a simulation that eased you in. It threw you straight into the war. Lucian's foot hit the gravel first. 1 step, 2, 3, silent, casual. Evelyn shot forward, drawing runes in the air like she was painting spells. Her glyphs weren't fancy, they were raw, force-based, the kind that ripped through terrain if aimed wrong. Rhea disappeared to his left, fast, near soundless. Her boots didn't even kick up dust. Silas and Vin moved next, Silas going wide with a low stance, knives drawn, and Vin slower behind cover, eyes calm. Across the field, Aegis Squad moved like pieces on a board. Rovan leapt onto a crumbled arch, backlit by dim red light. His axe was already humming with kinetic charges. You could see the sparks even at this distance. Isha sprinted ahead in a blur, blades scraping together once. Not threat, a signal. Myri didn't walk. She just appeared, midfield then gone. Teleport or shadow warp. The arena's sensors couldn't even track her. Corin raised his fists and punched the floor once. A shock wave rippled out, breaking a section of the arena's stone underfoot. Not at Lucian, just a challenge. Ash still didn't move. Lucian's steps didn't quicken. He just adjusted his gloves and let the simulation's tension unfold. Corrin reached first. His charge was brutal, wild, the kind that looked clumsy until you realized every hit had rotational weight behind it. He swung with a gauntlet fist, and the air boomed. Silas met him mid-motion. Steel against steel. Sparks flew as Corrin's punch missed by an inch, and Silas twisted past, dragging his dagger across Corrin's forearm. No real damage, but a mark. Damn, Silas grunted, sliding under another punch and flicking two throwing knives toward Myri's last known spot. They vanished midair. Myri appeared behind him. No noise, no flare, just presence. She raised a palm, and shadows snapped like jaws around Silas. A purple rune lit beneath his feet. Null pulse, Evelyn shouted. The shadows recoiled from the burst of runic pressure, like oil meeting flame. Silas rolled out with a gasp, shoulder grazed and arm half-numb, but still grinning like he was in a bar fight. Myri didn't retreat. She faded again. Elsewhere, Rhea clashed with Isha. Their weapons were different. Rhea had a hard lightsaber, humming with white edges, and Isha used two curved blades that seemed like obsidian. Their strikes blurred as they exchanged over 15 moves in under 4 seconds. Each time her blades hit, the sound cracked like whip snaps. Isha's movements were sharp, measured, but Rhea was faster. Still, she didn't land a hit. Isha ducked under a slash, kicked Rhea in the ribs, and spun backward with both blades in a defensive stance. Not bad, Rhea muttered, then vanished in a horizontal blink, reappearing behind Isha and slashing down. Blocked. Isha parried by instinct, twisted, and cut a slice of Rhea's side. Simulation pain, dull but biting. Lucian didn't move toward them. He was watching Rovan, and Rovan was already midair, axe raised, lightning running through his arm. The moment he came down, Lucian stepped sideways. Not fast, just out of reach. The axe split the ground where he stood, carving into stone with a scream. "You're watching too much," Rovan said, voice low. "Not fighting." Lucian met his eyes. "I'm studying." Rovan's axe snapped sideways. Lucian ducked beneath it, spun, and tapped Rovan's ribs with a clean palm strike. No enhancement, just raw motion. It lifted Rovan a few inches, barely visible to the crowd, but the older hunter grunted and fell back. Thunder cracked behind them. Ash had finally moved. He didn't run. He walked straight through the center of the battlefield, head down, coat flaring. The moment he crossed midfield, every sensor in the arena flickered. A blue warning pulse hit the admin panels. System instability detected. Reset required in 60 seconds. The crowd didn't understand, but the instructors watching did. Ash was carrying a void spike. You weren't supposed to bring those into public simulations. He raised his right hand and threw it, straight at Evelyn. Lucian blurred. The spike stopped midair, caught in Lucian's fingers like it was nothing. He turned it once, stared at the symbols etched into its side, and let it drop. Ash's eyes flicked once. Lucian didn't blink. "You can kill the fun real fast, can't you?" Ash murmured. Lucian didn't answer. Behind him, Evelyn finished her incantation. A white glyph burst out like a flower, radiant, layered, humming with sound. It pulsed once, and an arcane wave shot forward, slamming into Corrin and Myri. Both reeled, Corrin dropping to one knee. Myri phased, but too late. The burst still tagged her. The crowd gasped. Rhea and Isha's duel kicked into a new tempo. Rhea now weaving illusion step feints and phantom echoes. For a moment, it looked like there were 3 of her, then 1, then 5. Isha backed up, blades in a tight circle, but a single jab hit her neck and ended her movement. Simulation lock triggered. She froze. "KO. Rhea down 1, the announcement echoed. But nobody relaxed. Ash moved again, this time toward Lucian. And Lucian waited. They stopped a few meters apart. Silence stretched. Then, Ash vanished. Straight dash, like he blinked, but Lucian sidestepped without looking. Ash reappeared behind him, legs swinging in a low arc. Lucian caught it with his knee, countered with a spinning elbow. Ash blocked. The impact sent a tremor through the stone beneath them. Their auras burst for half a second. Lucian's was white, steady, humming with void-locked mana. Ash's was colder, gray-blue, like mist over ice. They clashed again, hand to hand. No weapons, just movement and instinct. To the crowd, it looked like flickers of white and gray slamming together in bursts of energy and sound. To the others, it was clear. Lucian wasn't even trying. He wasn't releasing anything heavy. He wasn't pushing. He was watching Ash's rhythm, matching it, interrupting it, redirecting it. Ash moved to the left. Lucian boxed him in. Ash switched to low jabs. Lucian tilted and returned 3 in exchange. Each one landed. Clean. Ash bled data stream particles from his chest and arm. He backed up, breathing rough. Lucian didn't move. He adjusted his wrist guard, flicked a loose strand of hair from his eyes, and exhaled quietly. Garros leaned closer to the feed in the booth. He's holding back. Athena didn't answer. She already knew. Rhea regrouped with Evelyn, both injured but standing. Then finally moved, just a few steps, and the battlefield seemed to bend near him. Distort. Aegis's side started pinging with minor spatial errors. Corin went down next. Silas baited him into a narrow crevice, then trapped him with Evelyn's runes and took him out with 2 cross strikes. 2 down. The crowd roared. But it wasn't over, because Rovan was back up and furious. He let out a sharp whistle, and lightning surged around his frame. His axe split into 2. Dual blade mode. He sprinted, not at Rhea, not at Evelyn, at Lucian. Lucian turned his head slightly, still watching Ash. Rovan swung. Lightning laced the twin blades, the air around them flickering with static pressure. Lucian didn't move at first. Then, he blinked once. The moment Rovan's blade neared, Lucian stepped in. Not away. He grabbed Rovan's wrist mid-swing, spun into his space, kicked his knee from his side, and elbowed his chin in one clean move. Rovan flew. Simulation caught him midair and froze his feed. KO. 3 down. Silence hit. Ash charged in again, this time with real weight. His eyes changed. Gray-blue light bled from his pupils. Hands glowing. A signature artifact embedded in his chest began to pulse. His speed doubled. He threw a straight punch that cracked the air. Lucian caught it, and for the first time, he spoke. Okay. His aura spiked. White, raw, heavy. It didn't scream. It didn't roar. It simply expanded. Dense, cold, absolute. Ash's eyes widened. Lucian's expression didn't change, but his stance shifted. He dropped his arms to his sides, rolled his neck once, and looked straight at Ash. Not like a student, not like a hunter, but like someone who'd finally stopped playing. The crowd didn't know it yet, but this was the moment everything changed. Lucian stepped forward, once. Ash braced. Lucian disappeared. A single blink, and Ash's entire defense shattered. The dust settled slowly around Lucian's boots. Rubble floated midair, caught in a brief gravity distortion before falling with soft, dull clinks. His coat fluttered as he stepped forward. Ash stood 10 meters away, his eyes locked on Lucian, chest rising and falling slow and steady. For a second, the whole arena felt quieter than it should have been. Ash moved first. His form blurred, light speed feints stacked into each other. His right hand formed a flat strike lined with temporal threads, aiming straight for Lucian's core. At the same time, a ripple spread underfoot, a null pulse meant to destabilize Lucian's footing and memory for just 0.3 seconds. Lucian shifted slightly. Ash's strike passed through his afterimage. Then the wind bent. Lucian was behind him. Ash spun. Fast, but Lucian had already pressed a finger against his back. Too slow. A shockwave exploded from the point of contact, sending Ash skidding across the battlefield like a stone skipping water. He flipped, landed low, then vanished again, this time flickering through dimensional skip steps. His coat blurred in and out of sight, and an arc of light cut across the air with each jump. Lucian blinked and blocked the first strike with the side of his forearm. The second he ducked under. The third he didn't block, because it wasn't meant to land. It was bait. Ash appeared behind him, driving a chrono dagger laced with entropy into Lucian's blind spot. The blade phased into temporal mist at the last moment, meant to bypass solid matter and cut into Lucian's past self. Lucian tilted his head. The dagger passed harmlessly through air. "Close," he muttered. He turned and tapped Ash on the chest. Not a punch, just a tap. But something cracked. Ash's face twisted as the shock moved through him. Not outside. His breath caught, arms fell limp for half a second, like a circuit got fried mid-combat. Lucian didn't press forward. He just waited, watching. Ash gritted his teeth and flared everything. His aura bloomed wide, midnight blue laced with ghost white strands. Time fractals spun around his wrists, and his feet anchored into the fractured floor with retrograde sigils. Around his body, phantom limbs flickered, echoes of different timelines. Some older, some broken, one where his eyes glowed red instead of blue. Then he moved, all at once. 8 versions of Ash attacked at once, each a splinter of his timeline. One went high with twin blades, one low with a leg sweep charged with gravity pulses. Another threw a chrono seal at Lucian's shadow. The rest attacked from all angles with relentless, perfect sync. Lucian stepped into it. His body flowed like water, arms cutting through shadows. He blocked 3, parried 2, let 1 pass. One version grabbed him by the shoulder, then blinked in panic when Lucian turned and smiled. Lucian drove a palm into his chest. Too slow. Boom. Another shockwave. Not one of power, but removal. That version of Ash shattered, pieces of a memory undone. The rest flinched, and Lucian danced through them, striking gently but surgically. One to the throat, another to the stomach, another to the head. He didn't need power, just precision. He'd fought worse than this. Worse than Ash. Worse than anything this era could dream up. Ash coughed blood and landed in a crouch, his real body catching up to the temporal feedback. His arms shook. Lucian rolled his neck. "You're good," he said casually. "Real good." Ash raised his eyes, sweat dripping down his chin. "I trained for this. I can tell." Silence again. Then Ash lunged. No tricks. No time magic. Just raw motion. Lucian accepted it. They clashed hand to hand, Lucian dodging by centimeters, slipping past elbow strikes, kicks, rapid jabs, and reversals. Ash was fast, tighter now, less flash. His hits didn't try to predict Lucian. They followed instinct. Clean combat. No hesitation. But every time he landed something, Lucian returned too. One to the ribs, one to the wrist, one to the sternum. It was like fighting a wall of smoke. Nothing stuck. Nothing slowed him down. Then Ash used his final skill. Time 0. Everything stopped. The battlefield froze. Dust hung still. Evelyn's glyphs paused mid-bloom. Corrin's gauntlet charge halted. Even Myri's void aura stopped humming. Only 2 people moved. Lucian and Ash. The field twisted into a world of stillness. Blue filters running through space like veins of frozen light. Ash gritted his teeth and charged with everything he had left. Blades hummed in reverse time frequency. He stabbed once, twice, 3 times, each hit echoing past, present, and future. Lucian watched it all. Then he reached out, grabbed the blade with his bare hand. Ash's eyes widened. "You shouldn't be able to move in." "Who said I'm moving?" Lucian murmured. "I was already here." Then he crushed the blade. Ash stumbled back. "That's not possible." Lucian raised his hand. Ash froze. Not from power. From instinct. Lucian stepped in, pressed 2 fingers to Ash's chest again, then whispered, "Sleep." Ash collapsed, unconscious before he hit the ground. Time resumed. A pulse of wind scattered through the field. Everyone blinked. Evelyn's glyphs shattered. Corrin looked around, confused. Myri narrowed her eyes. Rovan finally stood from the broken pillar, expression unreadable. And Lucian? He walked forward, hands in his pockets, past Ash's fallen body. No celebration. No flex. No drama. Just a slow, calm exit. Then he stopped halfway across the arena, turned around, and spoke for the first time in the whole match. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "Next time, send someone stronger." Silence. He tilted his head slightly, like he was bored. "I'm leaving the field open. Anyone from any division, any rank. You want to take me on, step forward." The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't know how to react. Because deep down they realized something. This wasn't a hunter match anymore. It was something else. Something older. Something primal. Lucian turned again and kept walking. And behind him, Ash lay unconscious, but breathing. The camera zoomed in on Lucian's back. One of the commentators whispered over the mic, "That wasn't a fight. That was a lesson." And in the stands, the real hunters, the old ones, didn't smile. They nodded quietly, because they knew exactly what they'd just seen. A veteran, hiding in plain sight. The silence after Lucian's words wasn't peaceful. It was thick, like the entire stadium had just been punched in the gut and didn't know how to breathe anymore. Athena stood on the upper platform, arms crossed, jaw tight. Her eyes never left him. Lucian, standing dead center in the combat field, hands still in his pockets, like he didn't just level the entire arena with that fight. Like Ash wasn't still being carried off the stone by medics. Like his words didn't just turn the whole week upside down. "He's staying," Garros muttered beside her. Athena didn't respond. Because he was right. Lucian hadn't left. He hadn't even taken a step toward the gates. He stood there still, quiet, waiting. The breeze pulled gently at his uniform jacket, the hem flapping at his sides like a banner. A storm in human skin. Then, "I'm still here," he said, voice cutting clean through the air. "Come if you want." It wasn't loud. He didn't need it to be. His voice carried. Too sharp to ignore. The challenge was clear. Rhea stood near the outer ring with Evelyn, arms folded. She didn't blink. Evelyn exhaled lightly. "He's really doing it." He said he would. "No, I mean all of it." The challenge. The eyes. The pressure. He's not even trying to act humble. Rhea didn't answer. She just watched him. Across the field, instructors from other academies were huddled near their elite students, whispering, trying to make sense of what they'd just seen. Some students looked toward Lucian with curiosity, others with something close to fear. One guy raised his hand, but his teacher yanked it down before he could speak. No one moved. Lucian tilted his head. "No one?" he asked, almost disappointed. Didn't expect that. He rolled his neck slowly, eyes half-lidded. Calm, unbothered. The kind of stare that wasn't born in a classroom or simulation chamber. That was the gaze of someone who'd bled for real. A regressed veteran, one who'd fought and died in a world far worse than this. The audience didn't know that, but the energy, it told a story, and they felt it. Athena stepped forward, slow and deliberate, heels echoing as she approached the edge of the platform. Her voice came cool and sharp. "You're staying on the field?" Lucian didn't look up. "Why would I leave?" Athena narrowed her eyes. "That invitation you dropped. You understand what it means, right? I'm counting on it, even if they come one after the other." He gave a slight nod. "Let them." Athena stared at him for a moment longer, then looked away. Garros muttered something under his breath, shaking his head. He's not just challenging them. He's cornering them. Athena glanced at him. They cornered themselves. Down in the crowd, the energy had shifted again. Some students stood, stepping toward the edge of their zones. A boy in dark armor, eyes like twin daggers, took one step forward. "Sit," his instructor barked. He froze. Lucian turned slowly, scanning the rows of contenders. His voice cut the silence again, low and steady. Class 0 already proved themselves. You saw it. You watched them walk through everyone you thought would win. His gaze locked on the crowd. You doubted us, laughed at us, ignored us. No one answered. And now I'm here. He took one step forward, hands still deep in his pockets. This is your chance to prove something. To yourselves, to your sponsors, to the instructors who handpicked you. I won't chase you. His next words came ice cold. But I'll wait. The crowd murmured again. But no one moved. Athena folded her arms. They won't come. Not today, Lucian said. But some will. Eventually. Rhea's eyes sharpened. He was planting a flag. Not just for himself, for Class 0. For the ones they mocked. The ones they ignored. This wasn't just domination. It was declaration. Lucian turned back to the center of the field and sat down cross-legged, right on the cracked stone. Not meditating. Not resting. Waiting. Athena turned away from the railing, her voice tight. Sent a message to all divisions. No one approaches him without clearance. If anyone tries to ambush him or send students off record, they'll answer to the administration. Garros looked over. You're protecting him now? No, Athena said. I'm protecting the rest of them. Lucian closed his eyes. He could hear the murmurs, the doubts, the fear. He could feel the stares, some sharp, some bitter, a few burning with rage. Rival factions stewing in their own silence, trying to figure out how to answer this slap to the face. He didn't care. He wasn't trying to provoke them for ego. He was just tired. Ash had been fast, trained, unorthodox, a prodigy among their generation. But to Lucian, it was like facing a kid with a sharpened stick. He didn't use full strength, didn't even use his system perks. No blink, no riff step, no spatial anchor, no chrono rewind. Just fists, technique, muscle memory sharpened over 2 lifetimes. He dismantled Ash like folding a sheet of paper. Now he waited for the real ones, the ones hiding behind status, bloodlines, logos, and sponsorships. He wasn't scared of them, because he'd already buried better. The stadium slowly began to shift again. Division leads started pulling their teams back. The crowd began filtering out in waves. But no one took their eyes off the boy sitting at the center. Not for a second, because deep down they knew he wasn't just some overhyped first year. He wasn't a student anymore. He was the warning. Evelyn and Rhea stood at the edge of the field, watching silently. Rhea turned slightly. He's not moving until someone steps up. Evelyn nodded once. It's a call. Not for a fight. For a shift. You think they'll come? Eventually. Then what? Evelyn watched him for a moment. Then they lose. Silas was already bragging at the Class 0 tent, whispering to Vin that their names are going to be stamped into every damn combat board after this. Vin didn't say anything, but he cracked a rare smirk. Lucian didn't notice. He was still sitting there, eyes closed. The sun dipped slightly through the glass canopy of the stadium, hitting his face like a spotlight. And for a moment, he looked like a god of war resting between battles. Not a student, not a prodigy, something older, something that had survived worse, and come back just to watch the next wave try. Then the system blinked in his eye. Passive detected, sovereign trigger. You are now recognized as dominant threat. Hunter-grade observers will take notice. Lucian didn't even react. He just waited, and somewhere far off, from the uppermost level of the stadium, a pair of eyes opened. A figure with a black coat and burn-scarred hands leaned against the far wall, watching him with a low grin. Found you, the stranger whispered. Lucian's eyes opened at that moment, sharp as a blade. He didn't turn, but he knew someone real had just arrived. Good. He was getting bored. Let the next one come. The wind shifted. Not a breeze. A pulse. Lucian's eyelids twitched barely. He didn't look up. Not yet. But he felt it. The weight. The intent. It wasn't loud. No announcement. No cheer. Just a single pair of footsteps clicking against the stone. She came from the north gate. Alone. No escort. No fanfare. The moment she stepped onto the field, the pressure changed. Not wild like a beast. Not erratic like a novice. It was precise. Sharpened. Balanced. Like a knife held at your neck by someone who'd done it before. Lucian opened his eyes. She was already halfway across the field. Black combat boots. Sleeveless top. Tight bindings wrapped around both arms. Each marked with silver circuit lines pulsing faint blue. Hair shaved on one side. Her eyes burned gold, not for magic but will. Trained. Forged. She stopped 5 meters from him. Lucian stood slowly. Name? He asked. The woman cracked her neck loose. Lyra Voss. A rank. From Helios Gate. Lucian gave his smallest nod. Helios Gate wasn't known for flair. It was known for killers. Permission? She called toward the judge's box. Athena didn't flinch. Granted. The air cracked. Lyra's left foot dug into the stone, and she vanished. Lucian moved, not backward, but into her. She appeared in a twist of air, throwing a crescent kick wrapped in kinetic light. Lucian blocked with his forearm, but the force knocked him a step back. She didn't give him space. Fists lit with short-range burst runes flew at him in a tight flurry. Left, right, elbow, knee. Lucian flowed. He caught her wrist mid-swing and spun low, sweeping her legs. She flipped mid-fall, planted one hand, and kicked off it, flipping back into a stance. His hand smoked from the contact. Kinetic burns. Interesting. She rotated her shoulder once and came again. No build-up, just motion. Combat instincts tuned so tight, she didn't think, she reacted. Lucian sidestepped the hook and drove a flat palm toward her chest. She caught it with both hands, twisted, and redirected the energy into the ground. The stone cracked. Lucian flickered back and raised an eyebrow. Lyra smirked. You're holding back. So are you. Their auras expanded. Gold light rippled off her like solar fire. Her runes lit up down her arms, trailing into her fists like rails. Her next step shattered the floor. Lucian exhaled. Time slowed around him, just slightly. He stepped sideways as Lyra's enhanced fist tore past where his head had been. He leaned in, ducked under her follow-up kick, and jabbed her ribs with 2 fingers. Light burst from her side. She winced, sliding back, but kept her stance. You're using internal flow, she said, breath short. Lucian didn't answer. She activated a burst seal on her left shoulder. It detonated a wave of kinetic shock around her body. He braced, but she used the force to launch behind him, reappearing midair, and slammed her knee down. Lucian moved, but not fast enough. Her knee slammed into his shoulder, driving him down. The field cracked beneath his feet. He rolled instantly and came up just in time to catch her follow-up spin with both arms. His feet slid back several meters. She landed, smirked again, blood dripping from her lip. He wasn't blocking everything anymore. Lucian flicked the blood off his mouth with his thumb. Better, he said. Then he vanished. Blink. He reappeared behind her. But she twisted, expected it. Their limbs clashed mid-strike. Kinetic blasts exploded around them with every blow. She dragged runes mid-air, forming a brief shield of force. He broke it with one punch. She coughed blood. He grabbed her arm and tossed her over his shoulder, but she twisted mid-air and rebounded off the field wall, launching back with a glowing spiral kick. Lucian slid low and dodged it by a breath. Then he stepped inside her guard. No tricks, just a clean right hook to the jaw. Her head snapped sideways, mouth spraying red. She staggered, then charged. Still fighting, still pressing. They collided again. Fist, knee, elbow, palm. Every hit sharper than the last. She locked his arm and tried to break his shoulder. He dislocated hers in return. She pulled her bone back in place with a scream and hit him in the face with a rune-boosted knuckle. He spun, grinned. You good? Not done. She launched upward, formed twin rings of light, and began firing compressed kinetic bullets. Lucian zigzagged through them, vanishing between shots, closing the gap. He appeared above her, spun, and dropped a knee into her gut. They hit the field together. Stone exploded. Dust shot up in a wave. When it cleared, Lyra was down, breathing hard, eyes open, barely conscious. Lucian stood over her, body bruised but calm. He offered a hand. She took it. No words, just respect. They separated. No cheers, just silence. A different kind this time. One of awe. Lucian didn't wait for the next one to be called. He turned back to the center and sat again. The moment he did, another stepped out. This one, taller, bulkier. A boy wrapped in white armor, etched with crimson seals. He said nothing, just walked. And the fight started the second he crossed the line. This one was raw power. Tank. Barrier class with brute strength. Lucian didn't use speed this time. He met force with finesse. Redirected blows. Slipped through gaps. Targeted joints. Snapped one of the boy's arms out of socket mid-fight and took him down with a brutal counter. Another one came. A twin saber user with mirage movement. Fast. Too fast for most. Lucian didn't chase him. He waited. Found the rhythm. And the moment he struck, it was over in 2 blows. Then another came. Then 2 more. A sniper type. A gravity mage. A double caster who tried to lock him in a null zone. Lucian tanked through every spell. Broke her guard with one kick. Dropped her before the second barrier could come up. He wasn't unbeatable, but he wasn't slowing down. Hours passed. The sun shifted, and still he waited, bruised, breathing heavier, but still seated, still upright. Then, a voice echoed through the arena. That's enough. Lucian's head turned slightly. The crowd followed. A figure stepped down from the highest balcony. Black coat, burn-scarred hands. He didn't rush, didn't radiate power. but the way the light bent around him. Lucian stood. Finally. You, he said quietly. The man smiled. Me. The arena exhaled all at once. Because even before the fight began, everyone felt it. This wasn't just another match. This was what Lucian had been waiting for. He stepped onto the field slow, measured. Each step kissed the stone just light enough to not seem arrogant, but strong enough to leave a faint mark. A presence like a coiled storm pretending to be calm. The crowd didn't know him, but they could feel it. Something ancient. Something not from here. He didn't wear anything flashy, just a dark coat, worn leather boots, gloves that hid the burns, and a quiet smirk that didn't reach his eyes. Inside, he was calculating. Every movement Lucian had made in the last 4 fights. Every bit of mana that leaked from the boy's skin. Every time he shifted his weight. How he didn't blink when others flinched. How he sat, watched, and moved like the world already played on repeat in his head. That's the anomaly. He didn't need a scan to see it now. He could taste it in the air. The mana wasn't wild or pure. It was layered, refined, polished through experience no one this young should have. His mission had been simple. Find the source of the tear that almost exposed their buried bloodlines. He thought it was an object, a catalyst, a cursed relic left behind. But it wasn't. It was a boy, Lucian Black, and now he was standing in front of him. The dragon inside his flesh stirred. The blood wanted to rise, to roar, to test. But he shoved it down, let his shoulders slump slightly, like he wasn't impressed. Couldn't let them see what he was. Not yet. The moment he crossed the halfway mark, Lucian stood. Finally, 2 wolves recognizing each other. You, Lucian muttered. He answered with a smile. Me. Then they moved. No ref. No start. Just instinct. Their auras clashed in the middle. No theatrics, no screaming energy. But the moment they met, the world cracked. Stones split under their feet. Air warped. Dust exploded from the impact. Lucian launched forward first, hand crackling with blue mana, a faint strike toward the jaw. But he read it, twisted sideways, redirected the blow, and slammed an open palm to Lucian's ribs. The force pushed Lucian 10 meters back. The crowd gasped. Lucian slid, flipped, landed low, grinning now. His turn. He blinked, appeared in front of him. Elbow strike straight to the temple. He blocked it with a reinforced guard, but the hit rang in his skull. Before he could counter, Lucian twisted midair and slammed a spinning heel into his side. He flew back, hit the wall of the arena, and cracked it. He coughed once. Blood. So that's how strong you are. The gloves tore slightly at the wrist. The burn marks glowed faintly beneath. Mana surged to seal the pain. Lucian didn't wait. He came again, but this time, faster. The boy was reading him too. They clashed midair. Blows. Counters. Redirects. Every motion layered with intent. Lucian weaved space-time into his steps, blinking between milliseconds, hitting from impossible angles. He responded in kind. He didn't use dragon fire. He couldn't. Instead, he channeled core pressure, raw density. Every step, every strike compressed the air like a hammer. A single punch shook the stands. Lucian caught his arm mid-swing and twisted him into the ground. But he rolled, came up swinging, this time with both fists lit in crimson. He feinted high, then drove his knee into Lucian's gut, wrapped in an explosive burst seal. Lucian grunted, stumbled, then vanished. He reappeared behind him with a dimensional claw slashing through space. The world split. He barely raised a barrier in time, but the edge of the claw shredded the coat, cut his shoulder, and forced him back. Blood splattered onto the stone. He blinked. Lucian was already above, descending, both fists glowing with celestial surge. He raised his hands and roared. Mana collided. The field erupted. A wave of pure force flattened half the arena. People in the stands screamed, barriers flickered, judges scrambled. But the 2 in the center didn't stop. They tore through smoke, through sound, through fear. Lucian's body shimmered, his aura sinking to every movement. His mana didn't flare. It whispered, like it didn't need a shout. His body twisted sideways to avoid a lariat. Then he drove his palm into the dragon's chest. The pain was real. He felt his ribs bend, But he didn't fall. He let the energy slip behind him, then caught Lucian's arm, and smiled. Got you. His veins pulsed. Dragon blood ignited under the surface. He drove his head forward. Skull met skull. Lucian staggered. Blood flowed from both foreheads. Neither dropped. They smiled now. Both of them. Warriors. Monsters. Lucian surged again. Used chrono rewind. His last 3 movements reversed, allowing him to slip behind the dragon's back in a fraction. Dimensional anchor pulsed. The area around them froze, locking their positions. He aimed to strike at the back of the dragon's neck. But his opponent wasn't human. He growled. Muscles tensed unnaturally. He snapped the time lock, twisted his waist, and unleashed a tail sweep. Except the tail was hidden. A pure force spiral kick that blew Lucian away. He didn't stop there. He launched upward, and mana gathered behind his back. Wings flickered. For a second, only Lucian saw it. Then it vanished. He descended with a strike wrapped in ancient pressure, something older than this generation, older than this world. Lucian raised both arms, caught the hit, and the arena shattered. Cracks spidered across the floor like veins. Chunks of stone exploded skyward. Wind surged out in every direction, flipping debris into the stands. Magical barriers collapsed. People screamed. Dust swallowed everything. And in the middle of it, the 2 figures clashed again, their fists locked together, arms trembling from force. Lucian's eyes glowed pale blue. The dragon's glowed molten gold. Then, Athena dropped. From above. No warning. She hit the field between them like thunder. The whole platform caved. Her hand grabbed both their wrists mid-strike. Time. Space. Mana. All halted. Both froze. Their bodies twitched under her grip. She turned to each of them. You'll tear it all apart, she said, voice low. Calm, but not kind. Lucian exhaled. His power faded. The dragon prince did the same. His claws retracted. The glow in his chest dimmed. They both stepped back, still watching each other, still locked in thought. Athena scanned the arena, the broken field, the wrecked stands, the people still trembling. No winner, she said. Her voice carried through every broken speaker, every cracked rune. No rematch. Not here. The crowd didn't cheer. They couldn't. Too much had happened. Too fast. Too real. Lucian looked at the dragon one last time. Next time, he asked. The man gave a quiet nod. Next time. Then he walked off, vanishing into the crowd like nothing happened. But inside, the dragon was still shaken. Not by the damage. Not by the strength. But by what he saw in Lucian's eyes. Not rage. Not ambition. But memory. Too many lifetimes behind those eyes. And that scared him more than anything. The aftermath didn't settle right away. The stadium, what was left of it, was still humming. Not with cheers, not with movement. Just a low, residual vibration. Like the space itself was trying to remember how to exist after what it just witnessed. Smoke hovered near the cracked arena floor, where chunks of stone and broken glyphs littered the space like ruins of a fallen temple. No one moved. No one even breathed loud. Because 2 students, just students, had almost broken everything. And one of them wasn't even fully human. Athena stood at the center of the crater, arms still lowered from separating them. Her presence alone kept the arena from falling into full panic. She didn't speak again. She didn't need to. Everyone had already heard the message. No rematch. Not here. The stranger was gone now. Walked out like nothing happened. Blended into the crowd. But the silence he left behind was heavy. Up in the executive viewing box, Aaron leaned forward in his seat. Fingers steepled. He hadn't said a word since the fight started. Not a smile. Not a frown. Just stillness. But now his eyes narrowed slightly. The kind of look someone gives when they see something that shouldn't exist. Alaric stood beside him, stiff, watching the same place Lucian had vanished from. Then Aaron finally spoke. Did you feel it? Alaric didn't answer right away. Aaron's tone sharpened. The aura. Alaric gave a slow nod. Faint, but yes. Same as the gate. Aaron's mouth twitched. I knew it. He wasn't one of us. But he hit it too well. He leaned back slowly, still watching the shattered arena. Then his gaze shifted. Down. toward the black and blue uniforms huddled together on the southern platform. Class 0, the outsiders, the rejects, the kids no one had placed bets on. And yet, they had won everything. Not just battles, reputation, fear, attention. Aaron's eyes didn't move from them as he spoke quietly to Alaric. How far is Project X? Alaric hesitated. The testing phase is stable. Human data still lacks acceptable variance. Aaron smirked. That's because you're using civilians. Soldiers. Try something different. Alaric followed his gaze. To Lucian. To Rhea, arms crossed and silent. To Evelyn, talking quietly with Silas and Vin. Then back to Lucian. Aaron's voice was cold. I want them on Project X. Alaric blinked. Sir. All of them, Aaron said. Specimens. Full combat imprint. Soul resonance data. Mana bleed scans. Everything. Sir, that would mean do what you have to do. Bribe. Threaten. Pull strings through the committee if you must. Just make it happen. Alaric went quiet. Aaron finally exhaled. Something's coming, and we'll need more than power to survive it. Down below, the silence of the arena started breaking. Small sounds. Footsteps. Shuffling. Whispers. Medical teams carefully stepped out to check the shattered ground. Restoration mages moved around the edges of the field, muttering incantations, fingers glowing. Class 0 hadn't moved. Rhea kept her eyes on the last place the stranger had stood. Her expression didn't change, but her fingers were twitching, subtle, barely there. Evelyn had her arms folded now, too. What was that? She whispered, not really expecting an answer. Vin stood behind them, quiet as always. Silas just stared at Lucian. That guy, Silas muttered, wasn't normal. Lucian said nothing. He was still standing where Athena had left him. Still calm, still aware. His shirt was torn down the side, a cut visible across his ribs. His knuckles were bruised. Blood traced the edge of his eyebrow. But he wasn't tired. If anything, he looked more awake than ever. Athena turned back to the council dais, where the senior instructors from each division were seated, still recovering from the impact. Some had sat down. Some were still frozen. A few were in mid-argument. She didn't wait for permission. She spoke. Enough. Her voice cracked through the arena, amplified by the runes in the ceiling. All eyes turned to her. This Zenith Week was meant to test the limits of our students. To push them, rank them, prepare them. What we just witnessed was beyond rank, beyond protocol, beyond what this stadium was built for. She let her words linger, then continued. The board will reconvene later to discuss further adjustments. But for now, the results are clear. She turned. Face Class 0. From this moment forward, by joint authority of the Oversight Committee and the Administrative Board, Class 0 of Ethro Academy is named the dominant unit of this year's Zenith Week. The silence cracked. Then it broke. Some cheers came, faint, stunned, delayed. Not the usual roars of celebration, just disbelief, and a creeping awareness of something shifting in the hierarchy. Rhea blinked once. Silas nearly laughed. Evelyn's mouth opened slightly. We won. Lucian just exhaled. Didn't even smirk. Didn't celebrate. He simply turned away from the field and started walking toward the others. Athena watched him the whole time. He walked past the crack where he and the stranger had nearly broken reality. Past the hole he left in the arena wall. Past the blood. When he reached them, no one said a word. Not at first. Then Silas stepped forward and clapped him on the shoulder. Dude, you're terrifying. Lucian gave a half-smile. So are you. Rhea's voice was quiet. He wasn't human. Lucian didn't deny it. Evelyn whispered, Do you think he'll come back? Lucian paused. He wasn't here to win. He was here to watch. To test something. Like you. Vin asked softly. Lucian looked up at the broken sky. Yeah, like me. Across the arena, Alaric had already left the viewing box. His shadow moved fast, his mind racing through schedules, transfer lists, legal loopholes. He would get what Aaron asked for, one way or another, because the age of balance was over. Class 0 wasn't just a fluke. They were the shift, the gods of the new board. But behind that, deeper, under layers of pride, celebration, and whispers, there was a chill forming, a slow, creeping fear. Because if that boy, Lucian, was just one student, then what kind of world was waiting for them outside the walls? And who were they to face it? Far above, beyond the dome, in the skies that the system's satellites couldn't scan, something watched. Something ancient. And it remembered Lucian's mana. It remembered the last time it felt that scent, during the fall of the first gate. And this time, it wouldn't wait. Athena didn't wait long. The moment the last piece of debris was cleared and the healers gave the all-clear, she raised her hand and called out calmly, "Class 0. To me." Lucian looked up first. The others followed without question. They walked across the half-shattered arena, past stunned students and broken formations, past other instructors who still hadn't decided what they'd just witnessed. No one tried to stop them. No one spoke, just eyes tracking them, half in awe, half in fear. At the edge of the field, Garros was already waiting. The dean stood in his usual plain clothes, arms folded behind his back, gaze sharp but steady, not smiling, not clapping. But when they reached him, he nodded once. "Deep. You did well," he said. "All of you." Lucian tilted his head slightly. "You watched the whole time?" Garros smirked. "Hard not to, considering the noise you made." A few of the Class 0 members chuckled quietly. Athena stepped forward beside Garros. "The officials are ready," she said simply. "You'll be receiving your formal reward." She led them to the side platform, now half reconstructed with glowing runes and polished marble. The broadcast crews were already repositioning their lenses. Drones hovered in the air, capturing every second. A row of suited figures waited behind a crystal podium, wearing official Zenith Week badges. The lead announcer, an older man with silver hair and a voice that carried authority, stepped forward and raised a tablet. "By unanimous decision of the Regional Hunter Committee and the Zenith Council," he began, "we hereby award the victory of Zenith Week to Class 0 of Ithra Academy." Applause rose. More now, clearer, still not wild but steady, and this time no one could question it. The man continued, "In recognition of your exceptional performance, each member of Class 0 will be awarded the following." He raised his hand and gestured toward one of the armored attendants. The attendant stepped forward, holding a sealed container made of transparent alloy, inside of which glowed a set of dark purple, crystalline shards. The moment the container opened, the entire platform shimmered faintly from the pressure. "S-rank monster cores," the announcer said. 5 each. Even Evelyn blinked at that. Monster cores weren't simple rewards. They were the crystallized remains of powerful monsters, compressed essence of their mana, soul, and spirit. Each core could drastically boost a hunter's advancement, aiding them in breaking through to the next rank, strengthening abilities, or awakening new traits. S-rank cores weren't just rare. They were game changers. Most hunters fought for years just to earn one. The announcer let that settle, then continued. In addition, Class 0 is granted a full access pass to the National Hunter Training Center, valid for 1 year. This includes unrestricted entry to training chambers, simulated dungeons, and classified archives. Now even Lucian raised an eyebrow slightly. That wasn't just a gift. That was an open door to growth. Silas whistled under his breath. The official wasn't done. Furthermore, all Class 0 members will be listed as provisional candidates for next cycle Elite Hunter slots, should they choose to apply. Evelyn leaned slightly toward Lucian. "Did they just fast-track us?" "Feels like it," he muttered. As the formalities wrapped up, the suited committee members bowed once and stepped back. But before anyone could relax, another presence filled the air. The recruiters. They moved fast, like sharks scenting blood. Suits and silks. Family emblems. Crest rings flashing with subtle mana. One stepped forward, tall and well-spoken. "I represent the Azure Fong Syndicate. We'd like to offer full contracts, training stipends, private relic access, and combat mentorship with S-rank field agents." Another cut in. "Thorn Foundation. Direct mentorship under the 9th Elder. Artifact integration rights. You'll get first pick of Awaken gear." A third didn't speak, just offered a black card with silver veins pulsing across its surface. It wasn't labeled, but even Lucian could feel the enchantment woven into it. The offers didn't stop. And then, Another step forward. This one didn't wear guild colors or a corporate pin. He carried a tablet. Thorn family seal in gold on the back. I represent the Thorn group, he said smoothly. Lord Aaron Thorn extends a formal invitation. That silenced the others. Even the official from the Azure Fong stepped back slightly. He continued, eyes scanning each member of Class 0. You'll each be offered private research sanctums, full core processing authority, relic ownership rights, and access to Vault Tier 3 assets. No binding contracts, just complete freedom and a promise. Evelyn frowned. Promise? To never fall behind the rest of the world again. The tablet hovered in the air. A set of gold-etched contracts flashed one by one, customized, already bearing their names. Rhea didn't even look at it. Not interested. Lucian folded his arms. We're students, he said. Not experiments. The Thorn rep blinked once. But he didn't argue. An open door doesn't vanish, he said. It just waits. He left the card on a pedestal and stepped away. No one followed. Not yet. Athena walked over to Garros quietly. You think they'll accept any of those offers? Garros shrugged. Maybe. Maybe not. That's not the point. What is? He glanced back at Class 0. They changed the board, whether they like it or not. As the sun began to set, the reconstruction mages finished restoring the last of the broken arena walls. The healing crews retreated. The announcers signed off the broadcasts. But the attention didn't fade. Not now. Not after what they did. And especially not after who they beat. Class 0 stood together at the far end of the field, cores in hand, silence between them. No one needed to speak. They knew. This wasn't just a win. This was a warning. The world wasn't ready for what was coming. But they were. And somewhere out there, so was that stranger. Watching, waiting, and preparing for round 2. The ride back to the academy was quiet. Too quiet. The hovercraft glided over the city, lights from the towering districts flashing against the windows. But inside, nothing. No chatter. No excitement. Just silence. The kind of silence that only came after something big. Something too real to put into words. Class 0 sat together, all of them awake, all of them thinking. No one said out loud, but they felt it. The shift. The world saw them now, and it wasn't going to forget. When the craft finally landed at the upper platform of the academy, the platform was already packed. Instructors, admin staff, even a few students from other classes, all waiting. Most of them weren't there to celebrate. They were there to see the ones who flipped the board. The moment the doors opened, the welcome hit them like a wave. Applause, cameras flashing, cheers, some forced, some genuine, some a little too loud. A couple students rushed up first. Class 3's Lena and Jiho, tossing energy drinks at Silas and Evelyn. You guys killed it. Jiho grinned. No lie. We thought you'd explode the arena, Lena added, laughing. Silas chuckled, catching the drink. Almost did. Evelyn gave a small nod, smiling slightly. Rhea didn't respond. Lucian walked ahead of them, quiet as always, not reacting to any of it. But not everyone clapped. Garrick stood near the corner. Alone, not smiling, not cheering, just watching. His eyes didn't move from Lucian. They didn't blink either. Jealousy crawled behind them. Heavy, loud. He clenched his jaw as Class 0 passed. Didn't even try to hide the scowl. He was supposed to be the top. He was supposed to lead the academy's rise. Not them. Not him. Lucian didn't glance his way. None of them did. But Garrick's fists were already curling at his sides. Inside the main hall, things moved fast. No speeches. No delay. Garros had already summoned them to the central office wing. Athena walked them through the hall silently, past portraits of the past headmasters, past ancient symbols glowing faintly on the walls. Her expression didn't change. Rhea stayed close to Lucian. Evelyn, Silas, and Vin followed behind. Once they reached the door, it opened automatically. Garros was already standing by the window. Come in. The door shut behind them, sealing with a hum. They stood in front of his desk. No one sat. The dean turned around slowly, arms crossed. You made a mess. Silas rubbed his neck. A cool one, though. Garros raised a brow. The council is still calculating the damage costs. That wasn't a duel. That was a collapse. Lucian didn't flinch. You watched it. I did. Then you know. I know you're strong. Garo stepped closer now, voice even. But I also know you're not done. Not yet. So why? He narrowed his eyes slightly. Are you asking to leave? The room went still. Lucian met his gaze. I've outgrown this place. No. Garo's tone sharpened. You've outpaced your peers. Not the academy. Lucian didn't blink. This academy won't prepare me for what's next. Athena folded her arms. You don't know what's next. I do. Lucian said quietly. He was just the first. Silas raised a brow. You mean that stranger? Lucian gave a small nod. Garo's walked back to his chair and sat. I can't stop you from walking out. You're not under a binding contract. But if you leave now, you forfeit your title, your academy certification, your access to all elite facilities. Lucian didn't move. I'm not interested in the paperwork. Garo's leaned forward. Well, I am, because what you do outside these walls still reflects on these walls. And if I'm going to let one of my students go rogue, then it better be after he's earned his stripes the right way. Lucian stared at him for a long second. So what do you want? I want you to graduate, Garo said. Formally. Lucian didn't answer. Athena tilted her head. And if he refuses? Garo's exhaled once. Then he doesn't get the academy's mark. No history. No recognition. Just a trail of broken records and no context. Lucian frowned. Reyes stepped forward slightly. That's not fair. It's necessary, Garo's replied. He turned his eyes back to Lucian. You want to leave? Lucian nodded once. Then I'll give you the only graduation test we reserve for monsters like you. Garo stood again, now facing them directly. Clear an S-rank gate. The room shifted. Even Athena blinked. Vin's expression didn't change, but Evelyn stepped back slightly. Lucian was the only one who didn't react. Garo's continued. No help. No instructors. You can take your team if you want, but you clear it. Solo or squad, I don't care. But if you want to walk out of here and still be a hunter, then you show me you've earned it. Lucian's jaw tensed. He didn't speak. Garo's folded his arms. You think you've outgrown this place? Fine. Then show me that you've outgrown what this place trains you for. Athena looked at him. Do we have a location? 2 gates just reached preliminary S-rank classification. One in the Blackridge zone. One in Sector 9's collapsed sector. Lucian glanced toward her. Blackridge. You sure? Athena asked. He nodded once. Garo stepped back to the desk and tapped his console. You'll be briefed tomorrow. Coordinates will be uploaded to your personal terminal. You'll have 72 hours to prepare. Got it. And Lucian, he looked up again. If you fail, you don't just lose the title. You won't be allowed to represent this academy in any official hunter circle. I'll blacklist your name myself. Lucian didn't flinch. Fair. Garo's leaned back. Dismissed. Class 0 turned and walked out. No words. Not yet. Not until the hall was clear. Then Silas let out a breath. Well, that escalated fast. Evelyn looked at Lucian. You're really going to do it? I have to. Reyes stepped beside him. Then we'll go too. He paused. Looked at her. You don't have to. We know. She didn't say more. Neither did the others. Because they weren't following him. They were walking with him. And in 72 hours, they'd walk straight into hell and carve a path through it. Together. Athena didn't follow them out of the room. She stood there, arms folded, eyes fixed on the closed door as the echoes of their footsteps faded down the corridor. Garo stayed seated behind his desk, already typing something on the transparent console in front of him. Calm, focused, like he hadn't just thrown a bunch of kids toward one of the most lethal gates in the country. Athena didn't move for a while. Then, quietly, flatly, that was reckless. Garo's didn't look up. No, that was necessary. She stepped forward. Her boots didn't make a sound on the polished floor. He's a student, Garo's. They all are. They're not normal students. That doesn't mean you throw them into an S-rank gate and watch what happens. Garo's finally looked up. You saw the match. You saw what he did. That wasn't a fluke. That wasn't luck. He's beyond what we were supposed to contain. He doesn't need books or lectures. He needs weight. Athena's jaw tightened. Weight and death aren't the same thing. Garo stood now. Slowly. His expression didn't change. Then let him prove it. She stared at him. He didn't blink. Athena's voice dropped low. And what if he dies in there? Garros looked at the wall beside her, where an old framed plaque rested, names of former students etched in silver. A few names had stars beside them, fallen during official academy missions. The cost of raising hunters. That's the job, he said. Athena's voice was quieter now. No, that's the job after they graduate. Not before. Garros turned away, pacing slowly to the side table, pouring water from a glass carafe. His tone stayed even. If Lucian's going to walk into something worse than that gate, I'd rather it happen while he still has people around him. You didn't give him a choice. I gave him exactly what he wanted. He said he's ready, so I'm letting him prove it. Athena didn't say anything for a moment. Then, he's not the only one who'll go. Garros nodded. I know, and if something happens to them. He sipped his water. Then it means we weren't strong enough. Athena turned sharply and walked toward the door. Garros called after her. You care about them. She didn't stop. I trained them. Garros stared at her back. Then let them be what you trained. The door hissed open, then shut, and the office fell quiet again. Elsewhere, Lucian sat alone in his dorm. No lights, just the faint silver hue of moonlight spilling through the tall windows, slashing across the stone floor in sharp lines. His uniform jacket hung from a chair, blood-stained and torn from the Zenith finals. His boots were still dusted with arena gravel, and on the desk, resting in a black alloy case that shimmered faintly with protective glyphs, 5 S-rank monster cores. Each one pulsed with deep violet energy. Alive, cracking softly with the echo of whatever ancient beasts had been torn apart to forge them. Each core was worth enough to buy a noble title, or start a private guild, or retire 10 times over. Lucian stared at them, then reached forward and tipped the case off the desk. The cores hit the ground with a dull clack, 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 clack. They rolled under the bed, across the floor, one of them stopping at the edge of the window. Like trash. If any of the others had seen it, Rhea, Evelyn, Silas, they'd have flipped. But they weren't here, and Lucian didn't need them here. He closed his eyes, exhaled once, then spoke low under his breath. Kale. The system responded instantly. System online. A ripple passed through the air like a static wave. Faint, glowing rings materialized in front of him, shifting blue and gold as the interface opened. Lucian stared forward. Begin my advancement trial. A pause. Then, advancement trial. Rank B, rank A. Trial tier, extreme. Restriction, no system assistance. No rewinds. No anchors. Just you. Lucian nodded once. I'm ready. Commencing. The world shattered. No fade. No warm-up. Just a hard crash of energy as the dorm split like glass, and he dropped into darkness. Then landed hard in the middle of a wide battlefield that stretched for miles. A sky of deep red bled overhead, thunder rolling across the clouds. Wind screamed through jagged mountain peaks. The air stung with mana. Lucian stood on scorched ground, blades of rusted grass beneath his boots. No HUD, no map, no system tips, just the old, familiar pressure in his lungs. Then they came. The first wyvern dropped from the sky like a falling meteor, black wings tearing through the clouds, jaws snapping open with a screech that split the earth. It landed hard, tail whipping sideways like a falling tower. Lucian moved. He shifted to the left in a tight fold step, his body blurring as time thinned around him. The wyvern's claws tore into where he just stood, crushing stone. Then a second wyvern screamed and joined the first. A pair. They didn't wait. They came at once, one from the ground, one from above. Lucian ducked the first lunge and pulled his energy into his palm. Spatial edge. A crescent-shaped blade of condensed space-time whipped forward, splitting the first wyvern's wing midair. Blood burst in the sky like black ink. The beast shrieked, spun out of control, and smashed into a boulder. But the second one was already on him. Its tail lashed forward, but Lucian caught it. His arms buckled, but he held on. He grounded his heels, twisted, and hurled the entire creature sideways into a cliff face. The impact cracked the mountain. But even before the dust settled, more were coming. A roar rolled across the battlefield. Deep, cold, bone-shaking. Drakes. 5 of them, each easily 20 meters long. Scaled bodies pulsing with mana. Their eyes glowed with primal rage, and they didn't wait. The center one charged first, spewing a river of white-hot flame. Lucian raised a barrier, half-formed, and rolled sideways. The fire still clipped him. His jacket caught. Skin burned. He gritted his teeth and snapped his fingers. Dimensional rift drive. He vanished and reappeared behind the lead drake. In one clean motion, he unsheathed the blade at his hip, the tip glowing with folded time, and drove it between the plates of its spine. The drake screamed and exploded. Its body ruptured from the inside, swallowed by a collapsing rift. The others didn't stop. Another lunged. Lucian ducked under its jaw, drove a spatial anchor into its chest, locking it in place. Then he pivoted, leapt backward, and detonated the anchor. Boom! Time cracked. The drake convulsed mid-air and dropped like a corpse, its body freezing as time locked for 0.7 seconds. Enough for Lucian to land on its skull and stab downward, ending it. Blood rained. Another drake tackled him from the side. Lucian crashed across the ground, skidding, flipping, slamming into rock. He coughed blood, but stood again. Face bruised, ribs cracked, breathing hard, still standing. The final 2 drakes circled overhead, then descended in unison. Lucian looked up, breath ragged. Then something shifted behind his eyes. He raised one hand, palm open. Mana swirled, space twisted, and then chrono field, distortion lock. The world slowed. Not just time. Everything. Air thickened. Light stuttered. The drake's movements dropped to a crawl. Lucian moved forward slowly, calm, quiet, walking through molasses but untouched by it. He approached the first drake, climbed its slowed neck, and stood atop its skull. Then whispered. Reset. A pulse of energy ruptured outward. The distortion collapsed. Time surged back all at once, and both drakes exploded from the inside, crushed by the reversion snap. Chunks of flesh and scale rained across the field. Lucian dropped to one knee, panting, covered in blood, but alive. He looked up at the sky, where one final silhouette floated. Not a beast, a man, draped in black. No face, no aura, just presence. A final test. Lucian stood again, eyes steady, no fear, no hesitation, just readiness. But before the figure moved, the system voice returned, louder this time and final. Trial complete. Advancement to rank a confirmed. Unlocking system modules. The world began to collapse around him again, fading into gold. Lucian stood there a moment longer, watching the faceless silhouette as it vanished with the rest of the dream. And then, light. He woke up in his dorm again, sweat-soaked, blood dried on his skin, shirt torn, but on his status screen. Rank A. Lucian leaned back in the chair, eyes calm. His power was rising, but something in the trial told him it still wasn't enough. Something bigger was coming, and he was only scratching the surface. The moon had shifted slightly by the time Lucian stood up again. His body was still sore. Not injured, but sore. That kind of ache that came from real fighting, from survival. His shirt clung to his back with dried sweat, and faint wisps of mana still leaked off his fingertips, even though the advancement trial was long over. He should have rested. He didn't. Lucian stepped toward the edge of his dorm, looking out the tall window that overlooked Aether's west wing. Lights shimmered across the city beyond. Distant towers blinked like signals. His reflection hovered faintly in the glass. Tired eyes, loose hair, bloodstains on his collar. A rank. He finally hit it. And yet, he didn't feel like celebrating. Not even close. Kale. System online. Lucian didn't move. He just kept staring out the window. I want to break through again. A brief pause. Then the system's voice came through, a little slower this time. Request registered. Rank advancement attempt S rank. Warning, confirm intent. Lucian narrowed his eyes. Confirm it. Another pause. This one felt heavier, like the system itself was thinking, Lucian, this isn't like before. Advancing from rank A to S isn't just another level. It is a shift. You are about to step into a different phase of existence. Lucian blinked once. You're being weirdly dramatic today. The difference between rank A and S isn't numerical. It is conceptual. It is the boundary where mortals stop being seen as prey and start becoming anomalies. Lucian exhaled once. And you will not face beasts. You will not face trials. You will face ascension. Lucian's grip on the window frame tightened slightly. Still going? Lucian, this path is not reversible. You may die. Lucian tilted his head. Kind of figured. Then one final confirmation is required. Lucian Black, do you still choose to challenge the Ascension trial to break into S rank? He didn't hesitate. I do. The system paused again. Then, strangely, you've changed. Lucian blinked. Did you just comment? Observation. Processing tone variation in host. Measurable shifts in mental wavelength detected. Conclusion. You've become Kale. Yes. You're getting chatty. Noted. Lucian smirked just a little. Start the trial. Confirmed. Initiating Ascension trial. Advancement trial. Rank A, Rank S. Trial tier, Transcendent. Restrictions, full lockout mode. No system interface. No manual triggers. All passive abilities sealed. All time-space magic sealed. Only core essence remains. Lucian's eyes narrowed. Damn. Commencing. The world split again. But this time, there was no transition. It didn't shatter like glass. It tore. Reality unzipped itself like someone peeling flesh off the sky, and Lucian was yanked forward. Not falling, not moving, just gone. Everything around him was light. Raw, unfiltered, primordial light. Not warmth, not energy, just presence. It pressed on his mind like a screaming sun. Then, nothing. Silence. He floated. Alone. No ground. No air. No system. No HUD. He couldn't even feel his mana. His heart still beat, but barely. So this is it? His voice didn't echo. It vanished. Then came the pulse. Boom. A single shockwave hit him like a planet slamming into his chest. He spun through the void, crashing into an unseen wall, bones cracking, skin tearing. He gritted his teeth, righted himself, and boom, another one. From above. Something was approaching. No, someone. A humanoid silhouette formed from the light. Black lines ran across its chest like fractures. A halo of broken energy circled its head, glitching and flickering. Lucian instinctively tried to summon energy. Nothing. No fold step. No rift drive. Not even spatial edge. Shit. The figure raised one hand. No chant. No aura. It simply flicked 2 fingers forward. Lucian was launched back, smashing into something unseen again. This wasn't a battle. This was a beatdown. He coughed, staggered to his feet, only to realize he wasn't bleeding. He wasn't even sure if he was still in his body. The trial wasn't physical anymore. It was something deeper. The being floated toward him, faster now, light spiraling off its limbs like gravity spirals. Its presence flooded the void. Lucian lowered his stance, breathing slow. Guess I'm doing this the hard way. He dashed forward, not with skills but with instinct. Every step was like pushing against a collapsing star. But he forced his body to move, pushed past the pressure. He ducked under the first swing, grabbed the being's wrist, and crack. His arm shattered. Pain exploded. The entity didn't even flinch. Lucian dropped, rolling backward. Sweat poured down his face, though his body still felt weightless. This wasn't a creature. This was a concept. The system was forcing him to fight himself. Not his fears, not his guilt, but the idea of himself before ascension, before power, before control. I get it now, he muttered. You're not trying to kill me. The being hovered higher. You're trying to burn off everything that still ties me down. The moment he said it, a shift. His body lit up, just slightly. Not mana, not magic, but will. Lucian stood again. Cracked neck. One good arm. Still smiling. Good. He stepped forward again. No power. Just fists. The figure struck. Lucian weaved around it, barely, then threw a jab. It landed. The figure twitched. First contact. Lucian's smile widened. All right. He went again, swinging, ducking, rolling. Every hit he landed burned. Every hit he took felt like his skin was being torn open. But the more he pushed, the brighter he glowed. Not gold, not blue, not crimson, just light. His light. The being faltered once, then shifted. Its body cracked open, revealing an identical version of him. Same face, same stance, same blood, but colder, darker. Lucian's eyes narrowed. "You're me." The being said nothing, then moved. The fight became brutal. No flashy spells, no dimensional warping, just raw, close-range combat. The kind you fought when your back was against a wall and you were the last one standing. It went on forever. Punches, kicks, slams, bodies flying across the void, crashing into nothing, screaming into silence. Until finally, Lucian grabbed the darker version of himself by the collar, pulled him close, and whispered, "You're done." He slammed his forehead forward. Crack. The light shattered, and everything stopped. Stillness. Silence. Then, trial complete. Ascension achieved. New rank acquired S. Unlocking pathway. Subsystem expansion unlocked. Constellation tier interface. World anchor detected. Stabilizing. Lucian opened his eyes. Back in his room. No wounds. No blood. But everything felt different. Not just stronger. Clearer. He could see the flow of mana around his desk. The tiny micro-threads between objects. The faint echoes of intent in the air. "I made it." His status panel blinked. Rank S. Lucian exhaled slowly. Not in relief, but because now he knew. This wasn't even the ceiling. It was the first step into something far beyond power. He turned to the window again. Outside, the stars had started to shift position. He could feel them, and one of them was calling to him. "Kale." "Yes, Lucian." "We're not done. Not even close." The system interface opened like a ripple through space. No sound. Just smooth, golden lines weaving through the air in front of him. It didn't feel like a notification anymore. It felt like a presence. Like the system itself was aware now. Watching. Listening. System initialized. User. Lucian Black. Rank S. Level 7. Stats 2000. Distributed evenly. System points infinity. Skill tree. Space-time manipulation X. Omnilingualism X. Newly awakened conceptual dominion X. Special title Riftwalker, the returned breaker of realms, embodiment of infinity. Lucian's eyes hovered on the last part. Conceptual dominion. System notice. Ability tree expanded. Displaying revised ability set. Space-time manipulation X. The complete mastery of the spatial and temporal fabric that binds reality. Enables instant folding of space for high-speed movement, warping fields, temporal slowdown, and time-based predictive combat. Advanced techniques include dimensional rift drive, chrono field lock, and spatial anchor detonation. Users with full mastery can bend timelines, rupture dimensions, or suspend localized cause-effect chains temporarily. Restrictions: none. No cooldown. Cost scales with intent, not energy. Omnilingualism X. A passive mental overlay that allows the user to understand and communicate any language, symbol, code, or ancient dialect. Extends to vocal, mental, digital, and even extinct forms of expression. Useful not only for speech but deciphering runes, beast language, machine interfaces, forgotten magical seals, and celestial dialects. Users can translate divine chants, forgotten scripts, or even interpret the intentions behind unspoken energy patterns. Conceptual Dominion X. A rare tier awakened state that allows direct influence over abstract concepts, not bound by element, time, or form. The user may summon and embody pure ideas, such as gravity, silence, fear, hope, or boundary. Once a concept is declared, it becomes law within a defined radius. Examples: gravity shall not exist here. All physics are void. No entry. Nothing can step inside the designated space. Only truth may pass. Any lie collapses on entry. Can only be used if the user understands the weight of the concept they summon. The stronger the conviction, the more dominant the law. It doesn't require energy, just understanding. Lucian stared at it for a long moment. You weren't kidding, he muttered. Additional notice. Title effects activated. He flicked his fingers through the glowing panel. The title list expanded, each one pulsing softly with etched light. Rift Walker, the one who walks between spaces unseen. Grants absolute immunity to spatial interference. Can freely bypass dimensional locks, spatial traps, or boundary-based seals. Users become a variable that cannot be predicted by normal time-space detection. The Returned, the one who came back from annihilation. You are no longer part of the ordinary cycle of life and death. You cannot be tracked by resurrection-based seals or soul detection magic. Death effects take 3x longer to register on your body. Enemies who use death-based magic will hesitate. Embodiment of Infinity. You're no longer bound by progression. Stats do not scale by training or leveling anymore. They evolve by realization. Time is irrelevant. Growth is not linear. You're an open loop with no upper limit. System points become infinite. All damage inflicted exists outside normal calculation. You have become a living paradox, a presence that will never fade because you are not defined by existence. You simply are. Lucian closed the window gently. Silence hung in the room again, a kind of weightless quiet that didn't feel lonely, just full. He turned and glanced at his discarded clothes, the arena jacket still hanging over the chair. Then he walked across the room, picked up the blood-stained fabric, and draped it over his shoulder. Still feels the same, he whispered. But it wasn't. Nothing was. He wasn't just stronger. He wasn't just faster. He wasn't even human anymore, not in the way people understood it. He could feel the shift in the world itself, how the floor didn't resist him, how the air bent slightly as he moved. He stepped toward the mirror, watching himself. Same black eyes, same messy hair, same tired face. But now, his reflection shimmered, not with light, but with presence. He was no longer a student. He was becoming something else. And deep inside, he could feel it, a thread pulling from the stars, from the far end of the cosmos. A new trial, one that wasn't born from dungeons or systems, but from himself, from what he was meant to become. He looked up again. Kale. Yes, Lucian? You still with me? Always. Lucian smirked faintly. Good, because I have a feeling this world's about to get loud. Confirmed. And the screen faded. The stars outside had shifted slightly. Lucian could feel it now. Not metaphorically, literally. He could sense the movement, the drift of celestial mass. The way time pulled like a lazy current. The way gravity whispered like a fading memory. S-rank had changed everything. But the weight in his chest hadn't gone away. He turned away from the mirror, walked back to the desk, and sat down again. The room felt quiet, but not still. Like the air itself was holding its breath. A few weeks. That was all the time he had left. The memory drifted in before he could stop it. Her smile. That teasing smirk. The sound of her boots on the hallway floor when she used to nudge his head and call him little brother, even though he was taller. Lucian leaned back and stared at the ceiling. This time, he muttered under his breath, I'll be there. He didn't need to say her name. It echoed in his soul. Lucy. The moment was coming. That same night. That same event. Where everything went wrong. Where she vanished trying to protect a world that didn't deserve her. But this time, he wasn't the same. He raised one hand and flicked his fingers through the air. Kale. System online. Open the shop. Accessing. A new interface slid into view. Unlike before, the shop no longer looked like a basic list. It was cleaner now. Sleek black with soft violet edging, trimmed in quiet golden rings. At the top, a glowing icon shimmered with a faint symbol. Infinity. Embodiment of Infinity. Exclusive tier access granted. Lucian scrolled through slowly. His eyes paused on the new additions. Item. Infinity Forged Weapon, Awakened Tier. A weapon made from collapsed potential. It has no true form. Only the shape the user desires. Blade, scythe, spear, chain. Its form changes based on thought and intent. It can channel abilities from all skill trees, but works best with dimensional energy. Bound to one user only. Cannot be destroyed, cannot be stolen. It remembers. Lucian tapped the preview. A thin, matte black handle appeared in his palm, then shimmered, splitting into a twin-edged glaive, then morphed into a short blade, then snapped into a long katana. No noise, no glow, just smooth, fluid motion. He smirked. You're gonna be fun. He kept scrolling. Item, Void Weave Combat Suit. A full-body exo-weave armor designed for stealth, durability, and energy amplification. Jet black with subtle crimson pulse lines that shift with movement. Built from star metal fibers and interwoven with mana threads. Temperature adaptive. Self-repairing. Design. Form-fitting, zero-collar neckline with a shadow flow trench coat attached to the back. Knee length. Splits at the sides for movement. Boots integrated. Gauntlets thin, flexible, retractable claws optional. Lucian selected equip. The suit materialized like liquid shadow across his skin. It wasn't bulky. It didn't feel like armor. More like second skin, cool and quiet. The trench coat hung behind him like smoke, following his steps, but never dragging. Yeah, this'll do. Next item. Item. Primordial Drake EGG bound. This egg is dormant, but reacts to the essence of infinity. Unknown breed. Unknown growth rate. Current state. Stable incubation. You may assign mana, thoughts, or external stimuli to affect its growth. Caution. Once hatched, bond cannot be broken. Lucian tapped it, and the egg appeared on the table beside him. It was about the size of football. Obsidian black with faint, glowing cracks of silver light. Warm to the touch. He brushed a hand over it. The surface pulsed softly. Hey there. He didn't smile this time, just nodded once. This was going to be a problem and a blessing, but he wasn't afraid of either. The last item in the exclusive section hovered alone, larger than the rest. Item, Infinity-class mothership, Novus Sanctum. A living vessel, born from folded space-time and bound to the embodiment of infinity. Size, scalable. AI, adaptive core consciousness. Features, stealth drive, auto repair, reality anchor, warp gate engine, dimensional lab, plus living quarters, holographic projection and training simulations, memory archive, celestial beacon, summonable, sentient, hidden from all detection methods unless permitted. Lucian stared at it. You're kidding. Summon permission? He hesitated, then smirked. Not yet. The screen folded shut with a gentle swipe. The room returned to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. He stood there for a while, one hand on the egg, the other resting on the hilt of his new weapon. A few weeks left. He wouldn't waste them. This time, his sister wasn't going to die. The air in the dean's office was crisp, silent, heavy. Class 0 stood in formation, not out of protocol, just instinct. Something about this room always brought a weight with it. Maybe it was the way the windows stayed shut. Maybe it was Garros himself, standing with his hands clasped behind his back, watching them like a man looking through time. Athena leaned on the desk beside him, arms folded. She didn't say much, just watched. Lucian stood near the back, behind Evelyn and Silas. Rhea was to his right, silent as always. Vin hadn't spoken since they walked in. 72 hours, Garros said finally. That's how long it's been since you all submitted your joint request. No one responded. To be clear, he continued, you're requesting early graduation from Ashvale Academy, effective immediately after completing a live raid in an S-rank gate. His tone didn't change, but the weight behind it sank a little deeper into the room. Yes, sir, Evelyn answered, voice clear. Garros glanced at her. You've done well in your trials. But this isn't a trial. This is a classified gate, sanctioned by the Guild under provisional control. We know, Silas added. Athena's eyes flicked to Lucian. Garros stepped to the side of his desk and tapped the display on the wall behind him. A dark terrain projection lit up. Jagged, mountainous. Trees warped and twisted like giant thorns. Black mist circling at the edges. Blackridge. The gate came to life on the display, pulsing faintly. Alive. Previously dormant for years. Recently surged in energy and confirmed as unstable. We detected multiple signatures, predators. Not basic mana beasts. Wyverns. Spectral fiends. Possibly an A-class drake in the lower depth. L. Rhea murmured under her breath. Lucian didn't say anything. His eyes were already scanning the layout. Visibility inside the gate is limited, Garros went on. Long-range communication is cut once you enter the first layer. There's no safety retrieval. If something goes wrong, you fight your way out or you don't come back. Evelyn nodded once. Understood. You'll have 48 hours once inside. After that, the gate's shift cycle activates, and the inner zone will collapse. It won't kill you immediately, but it will lock you in for the next 12 days. Vin finally spoke. We only need 2. Everyone glanced at her. That was the first thing she'd said all day. Garros raised a brow. Confident. She's not wrong, Lucian said casually, finally breaking his silence. The room paused. Athena's gaze sharpened slightly. Garros stepped back from the display. Your objective is simple. Survive, clear as much of the inner zone as possible, and extract the core, if feasible. You do this, and your graduation will be processed. He paused. Then, just as they started to turn, wait, they stopped. Garros looked straight at Lucian now. No smile. No tilt in his tone. Black. Lucian tilted his head. Garros walked a few steps forward, just enough to narrow the distance without making it hostile. His next words were calm, measured, but every syllable struck. How did you get to rank S this quick? Silence. Everyone turned slightly toward Lucian. Even Athena blinked once. Rhea stared. Silas' brows lifted. Evelyn was already doing the math in her head. Lucian stood still. Didn't flinch. Garros didn't blink. You were rank B less than 2 weeks ago. A full S-rank jump doesn't happen like that. Lucian didn't answer. The dean went on. And don't say it's the S-rank course. We ran the projections. At best, you could have hit peak A rank. But you're not just A. You're something else. So, he stepped closer. Tell me, what happened? Lucian's expression didn't change. He didn't shift, didn't twitch. Then finally, he smiled. Just a little. I trained. Garros stared at him. Hard. Silas choked on a laugh. Lucian shrugged. I had time. I used it. Garros didn't move. I fought things I wasn't supposed to. Took hits I shouldn't VE survived. Got lucky. Got smarter. Athena narrowed her eyes slightly, trying to read beneath the calm. Lucian went on. I stopped waiting for permission to grow. That's it. Bullshit, the dean said quietly. Lucian didn't blink. Believe what you want. It won't change the result. Garros studied him. Really studied him. Lucian met his gaze without effort. Calm. Unshaken. You're hiding something, Garros said. Lucian's voice was low. Maybe. The air froze for a second. Garros didn't repeat himself. Lucian didn't explain. And for whatever reason, that was enough. The dean stepped back. You're a wild card. Lucian nodded once. I get that a lot. Garros exhaled slowly, then turned toward the rest of Class 0. You'll enter at dawn. Yes, sir, Evelyn said, almost a whisper now. You get in, clear the zone, and you get out. Do that. His eyes flicked to Lucian again, and I'll sign the papers myself. No one spoke again. He waved his hand, and the projection flickered off. You're dismissed. They started to file out one by one. Silas nudged Lucian on the way out. Bro, what the hell was that? Lucian didn't answer. As they left, Athena lingered behind. She watched Garros for a long second. You're still not convinced. Garros shook his head. He's different, he said. That wasn't advancement. That was transformation. Athena nodded. And he looked toward the door. I just hope it's still him on the other side. Outside the building, the sun was setting low across the Ashvale skyline. Orange and violet clouds hung like ink spills over the glass towers. The wind felt cooler now, brushing past them as they stood just outside the stone steps. Rhea turned toward Lucian, eyes sharp. You okay? He nodded once. Silas crossed his arms. What the hell did you do, man? Lucian didn't answer. Instead, he looked up toward the sky, just beyond the clouds, past the atmosphere, to the faint tug he could feel again. His sister's death was close now. The world just didn't know it yet. And this time, he was ready. He adjusted the black coat on his shoulders and walked down the steps without another word. Behind him, Class 0 followed. A storm was coming, and Lucian Black was already standing in its eye. The character illustration is out. You can check it out in the novel page and vote for your favorite character. Thank you. The sky above Blackridge was gray. Not cloudy, just stained, like something had burned the blue out of it. The sun was rising slow, but its light didn't reach here. Only a cold kind of gold that touched nothing. The gate loomed ahead like a wound in the world. Tall, twisted, its surface shimmered with warped reflections, like it was breathing slowly, waiting. A jagged black ring encased the portal, with glyphs carved deep into the earth around it. Old, faded runes that pulsed with red-orange flickers. The wind around the area didn't move right. It circled, like the air was confused. Wrong. Class 0 stood at the edge of the gate's boundary. Everyone was fully geared. Evelyn wore lightweight battle armor, a combat weave modified with thin circuits across the ribs and gloves for spellcasting sync. Vin was in full dark robes, cloak over her shoulders, black eyes steady as ever. Rhea had her tactical blades slotted into her suit's back rings. Silas wore a coat reinforced with plated cores, and his arms were already humming with energy nodes. And then there was Lucian, plain black shirt, loose dark pants, no armor, not even gloves. He looked like someone heading out for a walk, or maybe a nap. His hair wasn't even combed properly. Athena turned from the gate and looked at him. Lucian, he raised a brow. You planning to die pretty, or are you going to wear your gear? He tilted his head, smirked faintly. I'm wearing it. Athena blinked. Doesn't look like it. He just shrugged. Give it a second. She exhaled and turned back toward the gate. I swear to God, if I didn't know better, I'd think you were trying to stress me into an early grave. The rest of Class 0 stood just behind her. No one said a word. The wind carried the gate's hum now, a low sound like something distant growling in its sleep. Athena turned to face them all. Her eyes scanned each one carefully. You're not cadets anymore, she said. Her voice was clear. No softening. No lecture tone. Just real. I don't care what rank the academy gave you, or how many drills you've passed. After today, you'll either be hunters or names carved in stone. Silas rubbed the back of his neck. You think that's supposed to be encouraging? She didn't smile. No, it's supposed to be real. Her eyes moved to Rhea. You're the brain. When everyone else loses their mind, you're the one that has to keep moving. Think. Adapt. You lead not by shouting, but by staying upright when others stumble. Don't forget that. Rhea nodded once, silent. Athena looked to Vin next. You're quiet, but you're never blind. Watch their backs. That's your job. No one in this group dies unless you say it's okay. If anyone breaks formation, drag them back. I don't care if they scream. Vin said nothing, just locked eyes with her. Vin, Athena said next, softer. You scare me. Vin blinked. Don't lose yourself. I won't. Athena nodded, then turned to Silas. You want to crack jokes. You want to play it light. But if you hesitate even once... I know. Do you? Silas looked serious now. Yeah, I do. Athena didn't say anything for a second. Then she finally turned toward Lucian. The wind moved again. You're the outlier. Lucian tilted his head. Always. If they break, you don't. Okay. If something tries to separate you, it won't. If you feel like giving up. Lucian cut her off with a smile. Athena. I get it. She stared at him for a second, then exhaled slow. God, you're annoying. He grinned. You love it. The moment lingered. Heavy but warm, like something real passed between them. Like student and teacher didn't quite cover it anymore. Like she was sending off something more than a soldier. She turned back to the gate. All right, she said. You know what to do. Everyone stepped forward. The mist surrounding the gate rippled. A strange kind of static buzzed through the air now. The portal's surface had changed, darker, faster, like it could feel them. Lucian took one step forward, then another, and then, without a word, the change began. It was subtle at first. The edge of his sleeve shimmered. The fabric rippled, darkened, then unfolded outward like liquid shadow. The black shirt melted into a sleek, seamless suit. A high-tech bodysuit formed from his collar down, molded to his frame like a second skin. Thin crimson lines pulsed faintly along his sides and forearms. Then the trench coat. It came last. flowing down his back like ink, split at the sides, silent as mist. His boots reshaped. His hands were now gloved, fingertips sharp with retractable claws. The transformation finished in under 5 seconds. And when he looked up again, everyone was staring. Even Vin blinked. "What the hell?" Silas muttered. "Is that even legal?" Evelyn whispered. Rhea stepped half a step back, not in fear, just instinct. Athena turned slowly, eyes narrowing. "You're really doing this?" Lucian smiled faintly. It was just on cooldown. The gate pulsed. A sound rang out, like a heartbeat across metal. The portal opened wider. No one waited. They stepped through together. First Evelyn, then Rhea, then Silas and Vin. Lucian was last. As he walked through the gate, the air around the ring screamed. The black shimmer turned crimson. The glyphs pulsed blood red. The entire frame of the gate shook violently, ground splitting at the seams as the hum turned into a roar. Behind them, Athena's eyes widened. She took a step forward. Then it hit. The gate color shifted fully, no longer black. Now, blood red. SSS rank. "Oh shit," Athena whispered, and the world stopped breathing.